Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another live stream. Going live a bit early because why not? Listen, it's 11:30. I am definitely awake, whereas sometimes I'm not so much awake in the morning when we have a 9 a.m. start, but I'm here. I'm ready. Why not start a bit early? Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know what you're doing right now. I tell you what, I think I prefer the earlier streams because it allows me to have a nice Saturday afterwards. Like, it gives me more of my day. But I'm definitely more awake at this time. I'm not saying I'm not a morning person, but I would say that I am more of an evening person. Also, my computer's deciding to just give up at the start of the stream, which is always nice. So let me know what you're doing. This late deadline is so boring. I do like an early kickoff, I'll be honest. Yeah, I would prefer an early kickoff if possible. Do you know what? I'm just going to get rid of my big face straight away. Why not? There's my team. I've not actually made a transfer yet. Am I going to make a transfer? I would say I'm 80% likely to make a transfer. No, I would say I'm 85% likely. Basically, I think I want to sell Sanchez. In terms of my two routes right now, it's either just keep it simple, don't overthink it, Sanchez to Alisson, or it is don't keep it simple, overthink it, and do Sanchez to Pickford, and then do Wood to Gakpo. So basically, my third Liverpool asset will be Alisson or Gakpo, and I still think I'll replace Sanchez either way. I do think Sanchez to Pickford and Wood to Gakpo deserves some thought. And the reason for that is it definitely gives me a goalkeeper in blank game week 29. If I go for Alisson and Fabianski loses his place and Liverpool reach the EFL Cup final, both of which seem quite possible, then I won't have a goalkeeper for blank game week 29. Also, obviously, Gakpo's just got a much higher ceiling. If you're going to tell me that one of Alisson or Gakpo get a 12-pointer today, well, then it's going to be Gakpo, isn't it? So that is the only thing that's slightly off-put him. But there we go. That's basically the thoughts at the moment. But I think I will be selling Sanchez. And then part of me is just like, roll the transfer. Sanchez might make a few saves. And then you can assess which third Liverpool asset you want going into next week. So I've got to decide how much I feel like the extra information might help. Given that Liverpool are the early kickoff technically today because they play at 3 p.m, I might as well just leave it a little bit longer because you might find out some information. Yeah, I do think Gakpo and Diaz could be rotated. I think obviously Gakpo's minutes are a lot safer than Diaz's. I don't think Diaz starts the next 4 games, for example. I think he'll probably start 3 and Darwin might get a start. But then if I think that Darwin starts one of the games ahead of Diaz, do I think he also starts one ahead of Gakpo? Because if he does, that means Darwin's starting 2 of the next 4 games in the Prem. I don't know about that. But yeah, either way, I think it's probably the best time to get rid of Sanchez. It's a great exit point against Man City. You would expect, even with the way they're playing, that Man City probably score goals in this. Got weird people in the chat already. Don't worry, I'm not referring to you probably if you're watching this. I'm just referring to strange people putting strange messages. Gakpo starts all 4 locked in. I just don't think you can say that right now. Do I think that's likely? Absolutely. I think it's much more likely that he starts than that he gets benched in one. But I don't think you can lock in a Gakpo. I don't even think you can lock in a Salah starting all 4. You just never know. I mean, I would be very surprised, but you never know. Kieran says, need help. That's why I'm here, Kieran. That is why I'm here. Team is Sells, Gabriel, Munoz, Trent, Kirkes, Vandenberg. Okay, so lovely defense. Salah, Palmer, Eze, Gordon, Enzo, Isak, Wood, João Pedro. 1 free transfer, 1.4 million in the bank. Wood to Gakpo, Sells to Alisson, or roll and wait till game week 25 to do JP to Wissa, Gordon to Diaz / Mbermo. I wouldn't in a million years do Sells to Alisson. If I had a better goalkeeper than Sanchez, I wouldn't go out there and buy Alisson. Like, if I had Raya this week, I'd probably leave it and just keep Raya. The only reason that I'm tempted is because I've got Sanchez, right? So I think for me, it's a lot easier. I wouldn't do Sells to Alisson. Wood to Gakpo, it's one of those where I'm not going to tell you to do it or not to do it. All I will say is that I actually quite like it. I think it's a nice transfer to make. I would expect Wood to still return in the upcoming games, but I think Gakpo probably outscores him. So I would I would marginally say roll the transfer. Then it would be Wood to Gakpo. Then it would be Sells to Alisson in terms of how I prefer those transfers. But I really don't... If you want me to sit here and say Wood to Gakpo is a bad transfer, you're not going to hear me say that. I think it's perfectly fine. It depends on your risk appetite as well, right? Because Wood's ownership is still going to be like 80% at most ranks. Are you happy backing against an 80% owned player that is scoring every week? If you're chasing rank, Something like Wood to Gakpo makes a lot of sense. If your mini league leader has Chris Wood, then Chris Wood to Gakpo makes a lot of sense. However, if you're top 2k and you're thinking, I just want to protect my rank, then obviously selling Chris Wood is a very big risk. Chiesa could be a minutes threat for Gakpo and Diaz too. I can't see that in a million years. There's been nothing recently which has suggested that Chiesa is going to take minutes off of them in the Premier League. Chiesa will probably be starting against Plymouth. He'll probably start against PSV. I do think Chiesa will get minutes. I doubt that will be in the Premier League. People saying Isak is unwell. Hashtag Booner. I've not seen anything reliable, but then again, maybe. It probably does sound like a false rumour. If we start seeing it a little bit more this morning, then we can talk about it. But I think for most people, they've probably got a benching headache anyway. So you probably just start Isak and then just have who you've got on the bench. But yeah, it probably sounds like it's a false rumour. Is Watkins being underlooked? I don't know about being underlooked, overlooked. It probably should be underlooked, shouldn't it? Is underlooked a word? Is Watkins being overlooked? I don't think so. Unless you mean underlooked. I don't know. Basically, I think Watkins is fine. Do I think he starts the next 3? I think he probably starts 2 of the next 3. Does he start all 3? Could they give Duran this West Ham game? I think Watkins is fine. I think it's just his price point makes him a very difficult buy. I'm actually going to be at Villa Park for the Villa West Ham game. So I'm going to be there to cheer on my boy Morgan Rogers. Can't wait for that one. Overall thoughts on a triple captain for Salah. My overall thoughts is that you just do it in the double game week. Ipswich at home is a much better fixture, but you've got 2 lots of everything in a double. You've got 2 lots of appearance points. You've got 2 lots of potential to score goals and get assists, and also 2 lots of bonus. Let's say that Salah gets 2 goals against Ipswich. Let's say he comes away with 15, 16 points. You can only get a maximum of 3 bonus, right? If he gets a goal and full bonus against Bournemouth and a goal and full bonus against Everton, that would be 20 points, or potentially 22 if he gets the clean sheet point as well. Because of the extra appearance points and because of the extra bonus points you get, I would always back a double rather than a single. If his double was really difficult, let's say his double was like Newcastle and Arsenal, then maybe I'd sit there and say Ipswich might be a better opportunity for Salah triple captain. But I think as things stand, I would just slap it on. I would just slap it on the double game week. I think double game week triple captain Salah feels fairly locked in for me if I had the triple captain still to use. I don't, so that's not an option for me. I've just thought, if I put my camera on charge. I haven't. One sec, I'm just going to put my camera on charge before it dies, because I was supposed to do that before the start. There we go. Should be good. Start Rogers, Sarr, or Robinson. If you start one of those, it would be Rogers for me. Then Sarr, then Robinson. Start Wood or Rogers. Right. This is the big question. You know what? I might actually bin off the captaincy poll. Do I bin off the captaincy poll? I'm tempted to bin off the captaincy poll and run a poll about Wood versus Rogers. Do you know what? I'm going to do it. Because everyone's captaining Salah. Maybe a couple of crazy people aren't. But I actually do think Isak's a really decent captaincy shout, again, if you're chasing or you want to do something slightly different. But I want to run a poll because this is like a major decision for a lot of people. Who would you start? The poll is going to be who would you start, not who would you bench. So don't misvote by accident. Who would you start this week? Lots of people deciding between Rogers and Wood. I'll give you my opinion in a second. I want to see what the poll says first. Because I feel like if I give you my opinion before the poll, then it will skew the poll. What is your league code? It's above my head. KNBG94. Also, can I ask the 2,000 people that are here already, can you please drop a like on the stream? I always appreciate those early likes because it basically tells YouTube that this is the stream that people should be at and they start pushing it out. So if you could drop a like on the stream, let's try and get to like 500 likes straight away. And also if you could please subscribe to the YouTube channel, I really appreciate that as well. But the most important thing, early like. That goes a long way. Who would you start this week? Rogers against West Ham or Wood against Bournemouth? Again, I'm not going to give my opinion yet. I'm just going to see what the chat would suggest. And then after you guys have voted, I'll let you know where I sit. Right, the poll is in there now. Oh, thanks to all the people liking. You love it. You know what? When you ask for people to like and they actually do, it's wonderful. Thank you for that, chat. Appreciate it. By the way, whatever I think Wood versus Rogers is very close. I will give my opinion in a second, but I think it is very close. Best Solanke replacement. He will already have triple Liverpool. I think it might be Mateta. Or Wissa. Maybe Wissa. It'll be Wissa or Mateta for me, I think, if you've already got Gakpo. Is there anyone else I'd really be tempted by? No, I think it would be Wissa or Mateta. Maybe Wissa because he's definitely going to play in blank game week 29. Thank you. Love the content. Kirkes or Munoz to start? That's very tough, but I'd go Munoz. Colwill is still flagged. Is it worth a -4 for Gabriel or Hall? It depends if you've got a bench cover. If you've got bench cover, no. If you don't, then maybe it's worth the risk. But the bench cover would be the big decision for me on that one. Timber to Van Dijk or João Pedro and Timber to Gakpo and Munoz? Oh, that's very tough. I'd probably go Timber to Van Dijk. Save the extra transfer. Keep JP. I think JP's fine this week. I think he could do well against Everton. 35k overall rank. Punt on Soboslai. Play safe with Aina to Van Dijk. I don't mind Soboslai, you know. I don't think his minutes are perfect. They never have been. Like, I don't think people realise this season there's been loads of occasions he's been benched. Obviously, Jones picking up an injury, that might increase his minutes, but we know that Harvey Elliott can play as the 10. I think Soboslai's minutes are slightly better than they have been, but I can't confirm to he starts all 4 of the next 3 game weeks. I don't mind a punt on Soboslai, but if it was my team, I'd probably go Van Dijk. Start Semenyo or Ahmad? Oh, that's so tough. I'd probably start Semenyo. Just about. Luke, hi Ross, hope you're well, mate. I'm good, my friend. How are you? I have 4 free transfers, Foden to Mbeumo and Rao to Gakpo. Or B, Foden to Mbeumo and Verbruggen to Alisson. Shall I use an extra transfer to Hall for Colwill? Again, I can't answer these sort of Colwill decisions without knowing who's on your bench. So I probably would say no, unless you've got absolutely no bench cover. That's a really tough one. I think I prefer the Gakpo route. I think Verbruggen's fine. So I think I would do Foden to Mbeumo and Rao to Gakpo, Luke. Just about. Simon says, Erdegaard to Mbeumo this week or next. I'm certain I want to make the move, just not sure who AI? Is that meant to say who AI prefer this week? Thanks and have a nice weekend. You have a nice weekend too, Simon. Oh, that's a tough one, you know. Fixture-wise, it's probably slightly better for Erdegaard, but Mbeumo's just such a better player. I think I would make the move this week. Because if you're asking me who would I prefer to have in my team this week, I'd prefer Mbeumo. And if you're going to make the move anyway, just bring it forward. Because all you need is an Mbeumo couple of returns, and he's going to shoot up in price, and you're going to have to make the move tonight or tomorrow anyway. The thing is, Erdegaard is so good for bonus points if he gets anything. I would go this week just. Hopefully that helps. Adam says, wildcard active. Okay, Henderson, Flecken. I don't like that. I already don't like that goalkeeper rotation. I would have Pickford or Alisson. But Trent, Gabriel, Munoz, House, and Mikalenko. I like that defence. Salah, Palmer, Mbeumo, Rogers, Cliver, Isak, Mateta, Gakpo. I'll tell you what, I love the midfield. Love the front line. I like the defence. I might have a couple of different players, but largely like the defence. It's basically the goalkeepers. I much prefer Pickford, much prefer Alisson. But it's not a bad setup. Yeah, I guess, Adam, do you know what? I guess Henderson is good. Flecken sees you through the blank game week, and then you've got Henderson for double game week 33. I don't know if you thought that far in advance, but I guess that could be the thought process, is that Henderson gets you the double in 33 if you blanks in 29. Yeah, do you know what, Adam? I'm going to give that like a 9. I still think I'd have Pickford or Alisson, but I think it's largely a really, really good wildcard draft. Right, let me see where this poll is at. 55% would start Wood, 45% Rodgers. Do you know what? That is the perfect encapsulation of how I feel about Wood versus Rodgers. I think I would be like 55% Wood, 45% Rodgers. The best way for me to explain this is if I was using logic, odds, how I make decisions and trying to be completely emotionless and objective, I think I would start Chris Wood ahead of Morgan Rodgers. So that's my opinion, is I would start Wood ahead of Rodgers. But if you're asking for sort of my gut feeling tells me that Bournemouth Forest game will be low scoring and that it might be a difficult game for Chris Wood. We saw what they did for Alexander Isak. And I also think that I do love midfielders playing at home. Like Rodgers at home against West Ham on the Sunday 4:30 kickoff. It feels like a very good game for him. So my gut feeling is telling me Rodgers, which doesn't help you guys. But I guess if I'm objectively trying to do my job as a content creator and give decent advice, I would say Wood ahead of Rodgers. But my gut feeling tells me the other way around. And again, I know that's completely useless. But I guess the poll shows how close it is. Currently 54% Wood, 46% Rodgers. That is extremely tight. Are you making the Alisson transfer? I think so, but as I've spoken about, I mean, let me know what you think in the chat, but I've got the option of Sanchez to Alisson or Sanchez to Pickford and Wood to Gakpo. So it's basically an extra transfer to have Pickford over Alisson, but to get Gakpo in for Wood. It feels like one of those that's going to be very obvious in hindsight, but I do think I'll be selling Sanchez this week. Start two of Kluivert, Sarr, Timber, or Rodgers. I'd probably start Sarr and Rodgers and bench Kluivert and Timber. Sarr and Rodgers would be the way I would go. Hatik says, hey Ross, have sells Henderson. Does getting Alisson make sense? Nope, not for me. Or João Pedro to Gakpo now and bench Sarr. Or bench João Pedro for Rodgers, get Gakpo 24 and Gordon to Mbermo. It sounds like you've already got a really strong... Like, if you're benching Sarr or Rodgers already, do you need to go out there and get Gakpo? I'm not so sure, but I also wouldn't bench João Pedro, I don't think. It sounds to me, Hatik, like you've already got a benching headache. I don't think you need to go out there and increase your benching headache desperately. I would probably leave it, and then, yeah, maybe get Gakpo in 24 and maybe Gordon to Mbermo as well. I think that's the way I would lean. In terms of Sells or Henderson, oh, that's tough. I think I would start Henderson ahead of Sells and Timber or Robinson. I'd probably start Timber. So I think I would start Timber and Henderson. But that's very, very close. Hopefully that's helped you out a little bit. Oh, we've got a fake FPL Harry in the chat. Let me remove that person. Let me get rid of those. You're right, the new layout is ugly. I didn't want to keep bringing it up, but it is ugly, isn't it? I tell you what, it's not even the bench. For me, like, the bench is ugly. Don't get me wrong. The new bench, squishing it all together like that, it looks ugly. But that's not even the big issue for me. The big issue for me is why is there so much space on that pitch? Like, look how small the players are and how much field is around them. Like, surely even for things like visual impairment as well, like, why not make the players bigger? It's just way too small and then there's too much space. I don't know. Not a fan. Not a fan. But we move. By the way, a couple of people said I missed their super chats. I'm still getting to them. I'm just sort of bouncing around the chat a little bit, but I will get there. Need to bench one, Bruno, Ahmad, or Murphy? I'd bench Ahmad. Yeah, you don't bench Murphy. Bruno's the penalty taker. I'd bench Ahmad there, I think, Darren. Keep both Raul and João Pedro or transfer in Gakpo for one of them. I would keep them, but I think if you're going to sell one, I would sell Raul Jimenez. I need to see your overall team, how many transfers you have, what are your future plans. If you're going to sell one, I would sell Raul Jimenez. I don't mind that, by the way. In fact, I think that's actually probably a decent transfer. I don't love João Pedro to Gakpo this week. I think it's a good fixture for João Pedro. Mason, thank you for being a member, by the way, Mason. Morning, Ross. Bench Rodgers, Wood, or Amad Diallo? Thinking Ahmad, but I'm a United fan and been flip-flopping all week. I think you're right, mate. I'm a United fan as well, but I think you're right. I don't think Fulham will allow Man United too many goals in this game. Rodgers, well, Wood's a penalty taker. We've spoken about how good his goal-scoring form has been. Rodgers has a really nice home fixture. I think I would bench Ahmad there, yeah. I think you're right, Mason. Bob says, I have Saliba Jackson to Liverpool. If I get Gakpo, what defender should I get? Or bench Saliba and play Rico Lewis? I won't play Rico Lewis. Saliba's an issue. Or bench Jackson and do Saliba to Van Dijk. Saliba to Van Dijk feels better than any of the other options you've got there, I think. Yeah, I would go Saliba to Van Dijk. Listen, I think in isolation, Gakpo is probably a better option than Van Dijk, Konate, and Alisson. I think most people would accept that Gakpo is probably a marginally better asset. But it's team dependent. If you've got a weaker defence or someone like Saliba, getting Van Dijk for Saliba makes a lot of sense for you, I think. So I would probably do that, Bob. Adam says, yes, thinking of the blanks setting up for that. Also, bench boost in 25, amazing fixtures for everyone. Oh, you know what, Adam? I didn't think about that. Yeah, do you know what? I said I don't like your goalkeeper pairing, and then I thought about it, and I was like, actually, Henderson for the double in 33. Flecken gets you through the blank in 29. Yeah, do you know what? I don't mind it. All I will say, I know he's more expensive, Pickford, but Pickford will do the same job as Flecken for you. So Pickford will also see you through the blank in 29, and he'll get you the double in 25. So I would also be very, very tempted to... Sorry, the double in 24. So I would be very tempted to go Pickford over Flecken if you have the funds. But that's about it, really. Nitty Grader says, love your channel. You sound refreshed. I sound refreshed because it's not 9 a.m. I'm usually doing these streams at 9 a.m. and I've normally woken up at 8 a.m. So, I mean, I still woke up at 8 a.m. today, but I obviously I've had a lot longer since being awake. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. Ahmad or Eze for Rodgers? Ahmad or Eze for Rodgers? That's a tough one. No. No. Wait, are you saying you'd sell Ahmad or Eze for Rodgers, or are you saying you'd buy Ahmad or Eze for Rodgers? I mean, either way, I don't like that. If you've got Ahmad, Eze, or Rodgers, you just keep them. Should I resist action bias? Absolutely. That sounds like the definition of action bias. Whichever of those three you have, I'm not sure if you're saying you'd sell Ahmad or Eze for Rodgers, or the other way around, but I don't like it either way. It very much feels like just doing something for the sake of doing something. I'm glad you spotted the action bias, by the way. Yeah, I would leave it. I'd roll. That looks fine. Frosty, good to see you, my man. Good morning, boss. Good morning to you as well. Bench one of Ahmad, Rodgers, Wood, Jackson. Currently benching Jackson. Also thinking Rico Lewis to Timber to bench Castagna. Rico Lewis to Timber. Would I go out there and buy an Arsenal defender right now? I mean, you're the Arsenal fan, maybe. To bench Castagna. That feels like an unnecessary transfer. I almost would probably wait and then do like Rico Lewis to Mikalenko or something. I don't know. Rico Lewis to Timber to bench Castagna feels an unnecessary transfer with all of the things we've got coming up. And you never know. If Arsenal overturn that deficit against Newcastle, then they blank in 29. It's not a transfer I would make personally. In terms of the benching decision, Ahmad, Rodgers, Wood, Jackson. I think the correct player to bench there is Ahmad. I think Chelsea will score more goals than United. But I've just told you to not do the two things. You're currently benching Jackson, you're currently buying Timber, and I just said don't buy Timber and don't bench Jackson. But if you want my opinion, I would bench Ahmad and I would not make the move. But thank you for the super chat as always, mate. You've always got to love it when I tell people to do the complete opposite of what they want to do. What is the best chip strategy if you've already played the triple captain? I think it's use all of your chips post game week 30. Something that I'm looking at right now, potentially, could be bench boost in 33, free hit in 34, wildcard in 35, assistant managed chip in 36. What that would mean is that you have a chip active in every game week from 33 to 38. It's just something I've looked at, not definitely going to be the case, but that's a possibility. Yeah, I quite like that. The other option is wildcarding in game week 30, bench boosting in 33. You could even use the assistant manager chip. Basically, I think most of your chips should be played post game week 29. You could also play the free hit in 29 as well. Sanchez for Henderson. I don't know. Sanchez to Henderson feels a bit meh. Especially as Henderson might blank in game week 29. By the way, if you're one of the 3,000 people watching right now that is not subscribed, could I please ask you to subscribe to the channel? We're about 800 subscribers away from 145,000. I don't think we'll get there today, but I would definitely love to give it a go. So if you are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do consider doing so. It's completely free. Listen, you might decide at a future date that actually I really annoy you and you don't want to subscribe. You can always unsubscribe in the future, but subscribe for now. Start Timber or Robinson. I have Raya. I'd still start Timber ahead of Robinson. Ahmad to Rodgers for free this week. No, wouldn't do it. Would I prefer Rodgers this week? Absolutely. But ask me in a couple of weeks, once Rodgers' fixtures turn again, I'd prefer Ahmad. I just don't think... I think we've seen recently, stop moving your bloody cheap midfielders around. There's just not much value in it. I think just keep them as they are. I know I say that as someone that's probably going to sell Enzo soon, but Enzo is a little bit lower down. I think if you've got Ahmad, Rodgers, Kluivert, Semenyo, just hold on to them. Bench one of Gabriel, Munoz or Kirkes. I'd bench Kirkes, just about. Hi, Ross. What would you do? Pickford or Alisson? I mean, it depends on so much other stuff, but in isolation, Alisson is the better goalkeeper. Bench Ahmad, Robinson or João Pedro? I'd bench Robinson there. I think United will score against Fulham, but I don't think there'll be many goals. Maybe 1 or 2 maximum. That would be my prediction. One to bench. Gabriel, Hall, Munoz, Jacob Murphy, Wood. I think it's Munoz there, sadly. Probably Munoz. Chris Pepper says Erdegaard to Diaz, but I prefer Gordon/Mbermo. I prefer Mbermo. I don't prefer Gordon. I'd go Mbermo. If you're selling Erdegaard this week, I'd go Mbermo ahead of Diaz and Gordon myself. Jay Saunders says, start Munoz 4 at the back or Semenyo. Switch this morning as unsure about Palace clean sheet and Semenyo probably more likely to return. Got 2 times Arsenal and Trent at the moment. Yeah, I would start Semenyo ahead of Munoz. Start the attacker. Absolutely. I know Munoz is basically an attacker, but yeah, you do sort of need the clean sheet as well. Who is more expendable of Robinson/Timber to get Trent? Also, who to sell from Bruno, Wood, Gordon to fund it? I think I would rather sell Timber than Robinson. Just about. The next couple of fixtures are better Well, the next like 3 or 4 are probably slightly better for Timber. But I think in the long term, I just prefer owning Robinson. So yeah, I'd probably sell Timber. Who to sell from Bruno Wood Gordon to fund it? I'd probably sell Chris Wood instead of Bruno or Gordon. Start Jackson or Sarr. That's really, really close. I would start Jackson or Sarr. I'd probably back the midfielder there. I'd just about start Ismaila Sarr, but that's a very, very close one. Good morning, Ross. Good morning, Josh. Bench João Pedro, Rogers or Sarr. João Pedro, Rogers or Sarr. Sarr, I'd start João Pedro and Rogers and I'd bench Sarr, but that's very close again. And the best replacement for Saliba, got Trent, so I was thinking Munoz, Kirkez or Hall. I'd probably go Kirkez at the moment, or Howson. I'd probably go for a Bournemouth defender. What you have to know then is next week they play Liverpool. So if you can't get away with benching them next week, don't go Bournemouth. But yeah, I would probably say start João Pedro, Rogers, and I would buy Kirkez ahead of Munoz and Hall. Happy Saturday. Arnold a valid alternative captaincy shout. I don't mind captaining Trent, but the thing is, one mistake. Let's say, I don't know, Van Dijk falls over the ball and Ipswich score. All of a sudden, your captain's going to do... Trent would have to do a lot to try and match someone like a Salah or Isak. You basically need the clean sheet. And I don't like that over-reliance on a clean sheet for for a captaincy. So I never like captaining defenders. He's a decent shout, but I wouldn't go there. What do you think of triple captain Salah this game week over the double? I spoke about this. In a double, you get double the bonus points. You get double the attacking return. Sorry, double the appearance points. So 2 goals versus Ipswich versus 2 goals in the double. If it's a goal in each game, you'd gain like 6 points just through bonus points alone and appearance points alone. So I think I would prefer to go for the double game week. I don't think it's an awful idea though to captain him against Ipswich this week. Bench João Pedro, Wood, or Mbermo. I have Henderson and Munoz. Bench João Pedro, Wood, or Mbermo. I would probably bench Munoz if you can, but if that's not an option, I think I'd bench Wood. I guess if you're starting Henderson and Munoz, you might want to just say, I don't think Mbermo returns, but I just think Mbermo is a better option. I would probably have them Mbermo, João Pedro, Wood. Start Ahmad or João Pedro. João Pedro. Gordon to Mbermo for free next week. Yeah, definitely. Where is your jacket from? My jacket is from Urban Outfitters. Urban Outfitters. Everything that I own is from Urban Outfitters. If you want to know where any of the clothing, the hoodies that I buy, everyone always asks me where my hoodies are from. They're from Urban Outfitters. My joggers that I'm wearing right now are from Urban Outfitters. I basically live there. JSY with the chat just to send a love heart. Thank you for being a member for 18 months. I appreciate you very much. And thank you for the support. 2 free transfers, Ahmad and Jackson to Wissa and Diaz. Ooh. Or Jackson to Gakpo. I think I'd go Jackson to Gakpo. I do really like the first 2, but I'd go Jackson to Gakpo, I think. Start 2 of Rogers, Bruno and Sarr. Probably Rogers and Bruno, and I'd bench Sarr. Start 1 of Rao, Wood, or Eze. 1? Surely you start 2 of those and bench a defender instead. If you're starting 1 of those, it's probably just about Chris Wood. I really like Eze for this week. I don't know why I feel like Eze could do well, but I'd probably start Chris Wood. Hey Ross, 1.5 million in the bank. Would you take a hit? Game week 23 to move Onana to Alisson with Dubravka on the bench, or just wait till next week but have the price rise? Would I move Onana to Alisson? Yeah, I don't mind that. I'd probably do it this week. I think Fulham will score. Yeah, I would probably just about lean that way. That's a closer one than me, though. Onana's better than Sanchez, obviously, but I think I'm going to move this week. Who's your favourite Bournemouth defender, Kirkez or Howson? I would probably go Howson, just for the savings. He's a monster from set pieces. He's really good for bonus points. But I also think that Kirkez is more likely to get you a higher quantity of attacking returns, probably get you a couple of assists in there. Might get the odd goal as well. We've seen how well he strikes the ball. But I would probably just save the money and go Howson. Bench 1 of Martinelli, João Pedro, or Rogers. Ooh, I still think I bench Martinelli there. I'd start João Pedro and Rogers. MN Chuckster says, hi, Gakpo in for João Pedro done, so team sorted. Hoping for a green arrow, but already kind of gave up on my rank, as I can't get out the 2 million rank since game week 9. Listen, mate, every week I think it's going to be your week. This is going to be the week. I can feel it in my bones. Now I just take it week by week and try having fun. You've got the right attitude, mate. But thank you for all of the positive vibes. You always bring the positive vibes on the stream, so I appreciate it. And thank you for the super chat as well. I really hope this is the week for you. Come back next week, and I hope that you've got a big smile on your face for that one. Dave, it says 4 free transfers. Do you know what, Dave, before I answer your super chat? I'm still yet to get to 4 free transfers. I've only made it to 3. Let me know in the chat. Has anyone made it to 5? Has anyone made it to 4? I have only made it to 3. And if I roll this week, I would have 4 next week. But I think I'm going to end up making a transfer. I'm just never going to get to 4 or 5 free transfers. It's funny because I was complaining about the 5 free transfers at the start of the season. I was like, everyone's just going to keep rolling until they hit 5. And I've literally not hit 5 once. I've not even hit 4. Anyway, Dave has 4. I've used 1 on Allison. Okay, so now you have 3. Roll the other 3. My team is Allison, Trent, Robinson, Konsa. Yeah, fine defense. Salah, Palmer, Bruno, Semenyo, Rogers. Love that. Isaac, Pedro. Bench, Jackson, Colwell, Dave. Yeah, absolutely, mate. There's no need to make a transfer. Roll the 3. Have 4 again next week, and you are loving life. Andy says, James of Planet FPL accidentally took a minus 56. I thought so. Do you think FPL could do more to prevent this? I think a revert button being available for, say, 5 minutes after a transfer would fix it. Good luck this game week. Do you know what, mate? That is a fantastic idea. Because what I was going to say is no. Because what happens if you make the transfer and then in a couple of days an injury happens? Like, you should be punished for making a transfer if you've made it early. You shouldn't have the option to revert. But maybe, yeah, if they had like a 5-minute timer. Because, you know, sometimes it happens. FPL Pickle, my girlfriend, last season. And by the way, she finished 2K last year. So it's not like she's a casual. She was tinkering in Game Week 2. And you know in Game Week 1, because you can make unlimited transfers, her brain just wasn't working at that point. She made 3 transfers for a -8 last season in Game Week 2. And she hit confirm because she'd been tinkering for weeks on end pre-Game Week 1. So she just had a momentary just lapse in concentration and immediately realised, yeah, so if you had a revert button for 5 minutes, what do you think about that, chat? If you didn't see James from Planet FPL, who, by the way, is like, I think he's like 10K or maybe even better than that. He's had a cracking season. He has a game on his Patreon where they do a minus 56 game, where it's like, if you changed all 15 of your players for a minus 56, what would your team look like? So he did that, but somehow has accidentally confirmed it, and now he's forced to play a free hit to revert the hit, basically. So he's now basically wasted his free hit. That's a great idea, Andy. Okay, yeah, look, listen, the chat like it as well. I like that. What I will say is it sounds like an issue that would require a lot of coding, and FPL have shown that they take ages to implement stuff like this. But yeah, I agree. Someone just said like a cooling off period. I like that. Big thumbs up from me, Andy. I like that plan a lot. Whether they'll do that, I doubt they'll ever implement that. Polkit says, hey, Ross, my team is, by the way, 36 months, mate. You've been with me for 3 years. Thank you for being with me for 3 years. I appreciate it. Sells, Munoz, Hall, Trent, Semenyo, Sarr, Mo, Palmer, Pedro, Isaac, Mateta. That's a beautiful team. No free transfers, 2.4 million in the bank. Any aggressive moves? No, mate. Even if you had multiple... Do you know, I'll tell you what, if you had like 5 free transfers, I'd still say there's not really anywhere that I'd desperately make one. That is an extremely well set up team. Leave it. No need to take a hit. But yeah, really nice. Bench João Pedro or Rogers? Oh, the João Pedro Rogers. I would start João Pedro. I'll tell you what, I might actually still have it here. One sec. Here we go. I mean, still asking your specific situation, but I don't think I've gone too much against what I've said here largely. I think this is pretty much where I've been leaning. I mean, some of these are really interchangeable, right? But I think for the most part, if you want to pause it and look for your own dilemma, that's roughly where I would be leaning. Hi, Ross. Start Rogers or Gakpo? Gakpo. You can't not start Gakpo this week. Unless we get a leak that he doesn't start, which I don't think will be the case. You got to start Gakpo. Love the videos, Ross. Who is the biggest FPL letdown this season? Chat, who do you think has been the biggest letdown in FPL this season? Probably Nkunku. We started the season with such high hopes for Nkunku. Maybe Nkunku. Maybe Calvert-Lewin. Someone said Bruno. How's Bruno been a letdown? He's one of the top scoring players. Biggest letdown has to be FPL Raptor. That's rude. Haaland. I mean, yeah, post Game Week 5 or Game Week 6, Haaland probably has been the biggest letdown. Watkins, a little bit based on what we saw last season. Quansah. Yeah, Quansah. It's got to be Nkunku for me as the biggest letdown. Foden. Yeah, up until 4 game weeks ago, Foden probably has, but he's got 50 points in like 4 or 5 game weeks. Barco. Lukey Boy says Leif Davis. Do you want to get yourself blocked? Do not disrespect the GOAT, Leif Davis. To be fair, Leif Davis has been a bit of a letdown, hasn't he? Gvardiol. Nah, Gvardiol's popped up some goals. João Pedro. Maybe João Pedro, yeah. There have been some letdowns, for sure. There have been enough. Mazraoui to Munoz or Konate? I'd probably go Konate. Yeah. DCL. DCL's not been great, has he? Son could be right up there as a contender. He's got actually a decent number of points, but not when people have wanted him to. Do I bench Gordon for Rao? No. DCL has always been a letdown. That's the point, Chris. If someone's always been a letdown, are they technically a letdown? Surely if they've always been a letdown, then they're just performing as you would expect. We are only 700 subscribers away from 145,000. Again, if you are watching this and you're not yet subscribed. By the way, if you're watching this on your telly, you can subscribe on your big telly. It's easy enough to do. All you do, click go to channel, click subscribe. Bang, done. You can subscribe on your phone, on your laptop, on your computer. Why have people gone away from assistant manager chip in double game week 24 on Arne Slot? It feels a little bit low upside. It also feels like... Do you know what, for me? I just want to see how it goes. I want to see other people play it. I want to see other people make mistakes. I want to see other people succeed. And then I'll assess. And I also think I want to attack the table bonus. So with Arne Slot, you're not getting the table bonus. And I think later on in the season, the table bonus will become a lot more apparent. Like in game week 36, we'll know definitely which teams will be 5 places below. We'll know which teams have something to play for. I just think I want to go all out for that table bonus to try and get that big sort of 60 plus points. With Arne Slot, I looked at sort of best case scenario across game week 24 to 26. If you play it on Arne Slot in 24, 25, and then move in 26, you're probably looking at like 40 points maximum, maybe 50. But I reckon you probably get something like 35 points from the chip, which is great. But could a third Liverpool asset also dig into that amount of points? I know FPL Harry made a good point that you probably ideally want to have a third Liverpool. Why would you not play the chip on a team where you're not going to want that third asset? Like, let's say, I don't know, Pep Guardiola in game week 36. If City is still absolutely having a terrible season, but they're trying to get top 4 or something like that. Or in game week 33, maybe there'll be a team like Crystal Palace that's still in the lower half of the table that have a double game week. There might just be better opportunities, I think, in the future. So that's the main thing for me. I've got 3.7 million in the bank for free transfers. Got Enzo, Gvardiol, Wood, João Pedro. I can only move on and only 2 Liverpool. What would be your tips? I think Gvardiol to Van Dijk, probably in your position. Feels fairly nice. FPL Mikel. That's probably what I would do. There's a siren coming. There's a siren. Hopefully not for me. Polkit says, hey Ross, yes, it's been 36 months and I've enjoyed every moment. No question, just to appeal to people to go for it is totally worth it. You're a superstar. You're a superstar. One of the kindest people I've had the pleasure of interacting with over the last 3 years in FPL. So thank you, my friend. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to all of the members, by the way. I probably don't thank you enough, but if you are a member, just know I really appreciate it. I really do. You're the people that allow me to spend so much time actually creating content around FPL. Dave says, I will have 4 free transfers next week. Okay, Dave, very nice position. This team is Raya Fabianski, cool, Trent Gabriel, Ola Aina, Robinson Greaves, Salah Palmer, Gordon Rogers, Sarr, Isak, Mateta, Wissa. I tell you what, I love your front line. Very jealous of Gordon. What a team, Dave, with 4 free transfers next week. It's fantastic. Can Marmoush play today? I don't know, chat, can he? I think so. Yeah, I think he can. I don't know for sure, though. I'm not going to buy him, so I haven't really looked into it. Start 2 of Timber, Robinson, and Munoz. Probably Timber and Munoz. Can he play? I think, yeah. A couple of people have said yes, he can. Okay, good to know. Pep said his new boys could well be involved. I reckon they might end up starting one of their new boys at centre-back based on the lack of options that they have. Bruno or Brian? Is this Brian with a Y in terms of Mbermo? I would definitely buy Mbermo ahead of Bruno. I'm even thinking about maybe doing Bruno to Mbermo next week. Yeah, Pep said Mamouche will be in the squad. Cool. I don't think he'll start, but I think he'll be in the squad then, yeah. I mean, he could start. You never know. Might just get chucked straight in. Where was I? JC250 says 450 in the 450 in the world. Top 500. What are you doing watching my stream? I'm not going to help someone that's top 5. I'm only joking. Every decision now is a massive headache. I'm not going to lie. So my best rank, this isn't to end the season, by the way, but my best rank was 99th in the world. I've got a screenshot of it still on my phone. That was 2 seasons ago. I think it was in like game week 10 or 11. I got to 99th in the world. That was comfortably the least I've ever enjoyed FPL. I enjoyed FPL more at 3 million than I did at 99th in the world. For anyone that has ever been that high, it is so stressful. So I do emphasize with you. Empathize, not emphasize. This is words with FPL Raptor. I do empathize. Waiting on early team news to do Wood to Gakpo. Yeah. Do I bench Mbermo, JP, or Rogers? I would bench Rogers. I would start you 2 penalty takers and hope for some penalties. That's what I would do, JC. But wow, what a rank. To be honest, mate, just enjoy it. Try your best to enjoy it and try your best to not stress out because it's very likely that you'll never be there again. Very few people get there on multiple occasions, so just enjoy it. But yeah, I'd bench Rogers personally. Maybe JP is the ownership play, I'm just thinking. And Burma and Rogers are the 2 higher owned assets, so maybe the ownership play is to bench João Pedro. The only one I wouldn't bench is Mbermo. I'd start Mbermo. BJ. Do you know what's funny? Is this guy's name's BJ, and as I've just read it, he said, "Hey Russ, I know, BJ, you always chuckle when you read my initials." Sorry. I'm a child at heart. Sport for choice this week. Bench Ahmad, Sarr, or Rogers? I think that's an easy one, BJ. I would bench Ahmad. I'd bench Ahmad. So, next one is, okay, team. Sells, Henderson, Trent, Gabriel, Munoz, Mikalenko, Salah, Gordon, Palmer, Rogers, Sarr, Isak, Wood, Pedro. Lovely teammate. 3 free transfers, 2.4 million in the bank. What to do and who to start and bench? I would bench Sells. I would bench Mikalenko. I would bench Sarr. Hopefully that helps. You don't need to make a transfer, I don't think. If you want to do Wood to Gakpo, I quite like that. I wouldn't mind Wood to Gakpo. Other than that, I think you can just roll with your team, and those are the players that I would bench. Cruzy says, start João Pedro or Rogers. I would personally start João Pedro, although I saw a poll on Twitter earlier, and 77% said they'd start Rogers and not João Pedro. So most people would say start Rogers. I would start João Pedro. It's very easy for me to say, though, because I don't own João Pedro. So maybe if I was in that position, I'd have a different opinion. By the way, there is a poll in the chat that it seems to be the major benching decision this week. Who would you start, Rogers or Wood? Currently, 54% of you would start Wood, 46% Rogers. It's a very tight one, but I agree with the chat. I would just about lean Chris Wood. I think the best thing to accept is this week there are going to be a lot of bench points. There's probably not going to be too many bench points for me because I've got Enzo, Vandenberg, Fabianski, and Robinson. And Robinson might do well, but it's one of the benefits of having Enzo right now is that I don't have a benching headache. I can just bench Enzo against City. Ross, what a name, by the way. Lovely name, Ross. Would you take out Watkins or Wood for Gakpo? Oh. I would take out Wood. I'd keep Watkins for the next 3. Yeah, do you know what, Ross? I'd go for the differential. It's so weird saying... Not many people are called Ross, so it always feels weird when I call other people Ross. I would keep Watkins and sell Wood. Yeah, why not? I think that is a very, very close one, though, for sure. Right, where was I? Shawnak says, start 3 from Munoz, Gabriel, Timber, Trent, Kirkers. Munoz, Gabriel, Timber, Trenko. So Trent starts, Gabriel starts. Would I start double defense or go Munoz or Kirkes? I think I would still go double defense. I think I'd start Trent, Gab, Timber. But if you want to differentiate, I'd probably have Munoz ahead of Kirkes. Forward line is really weak with João, Wood, Rao. Any must transfer or roll? If you can get to Gakpo, great. Otherwise, you just leave it. Maybe you could move to Wissa, but I don't know that I desperately want to sell João Pedro, Wood, or Raul Jimenez. I don't think it's as weak as you think, mate. I think that's a fine team. I always have a benching headache. You're not alone. Pickford, Van Dijk, Gabriel, Hall, Sarr, Mbermo, Salah, Palmer, Gakpo, Wood, Isak, Rogers, Munoz, Howson. I tell you what, mate. That's bench boostable. If your bench right now is Rogers, Munoz, Howson, I would be tempted to sell whoever your backup goalkeeper is for, I don't know, a decent keeper this week and maybe hit the bench boost button. If you don't want to hit the bench boost button, I would probably start Rogers ahead of Sarr. And then I would probably leave your defense as is. I think you've got the defense spot on, but that is a very bench boostable team. And there aren't that many players. The thing is that I don't normally like about a bench boost in a single game week is, let's say 2 or 3 of your players end up getting injured and missing out, then you're screwed. Whereas in a double game week, because there are 2 games, they might be injured for the first one and not for the second. But that is there are some people that have very, very, very strong benches. Hello, Ross. Bench one of Rodgers or Ahmad? I'd bench Ahmad. Bench Wissa, Murphy or Ahmad? Again, I'd bench Ahmad in that situation. Bench Munoz or Robinson? Probably Robinson. I know you're then benching Ahmad and Robinson, but that's just the way I would lean at the moment. Martin says, Game Week 24, Pickford, Van Dijk, Salah, Gakpo. Is it worth downgrading one to get Alisson and or to go to Trent? Other is Raul Van Dijk to Calvert-Lewin, Trent. Also, Bowen keep or downgrade for money. I would probably leave your team. I would prefer Trent to Van Dijk, but I don't think it's worth the extra transfer to make that move. I would probably be happy to sell Jared Bowen. I know he could be back very soon, but I'm also not sure that you desperately need or want Jared Bowen anyway. So I would probably downgrade Bowen. If you've not got Mbermo, Bowen to Mbermo feels nice. I forgot to mention Konsa versus Munoz. I would start Munoz ahead of Konsa. Konsa's got a better chance for a clean sheet, but Munoz is so much more attacking. Harry says, I want to bring in 2 more Liverpool players. I've got 0.1 in the bank. My only option is Mateta for Darwin, then Robinson for Konate. Do I do both, one or none? I wouldn't do Mateta to Darwin. Mateta for Darwin. So you're selling Mateta for Darwin. I wouldn't do that in a million years. Then Robinson to Konate. I don't mind Robinson to Konate. I still am not 100% sure I would do it this week. But I definitely wouldn't do Mateta to Darwin. We might get a leak that Darwin starts today, which is great. And therefore he could smash it this week. But then is he going to start Bournemouth and or Everton? Would I be surprised if he's benched in both of those? No. And the thing is, if you're telling me Darwin starts today and then one or both of Bournemouth Everton, then all of a sudden Gakpo and Diaz aren't nailed on. So I probably wouldn't do the Darwin move. Sorry, taking a little drink. So yeah, I'll just do the Konate one if you want to make the move. What's your reason for João Pedro over Rodgers? João Pedro's data has been rubbish. Rodgers is always involved in the attack. Just wondering your thought process. Thank you. I know it wasn't necessarily the case last week, but I think João Pedro was well back in the team as a better asset. He's on penalties, and Everton under Moyes thus far have favoured attack over defence. And he has said himself that the priority is getting them to play more attacking football. So I just think for that reason, I would favour João Pedro over Rodgers. But it's very close. It is very close. The penalty, if I didn't mention penalties, by the way, penalties is also the big thing. All you need is one penalty, and Rodgers will do very well to outscore João Pedro. Hi, Ross. Start Murphy or Wood? I'd have to start Murphy, I think. Such a good game against Southampton. So would you get Alisson from -4? I wouldn't take a -4 to buy Alisson, though. I wouldn't take a -4 for it. I might not even do it for free. Konate for Timber or roll and play Timber/Robinson? Konate for Timber or roll and play Timber/Robinson? I would probably roll. I think Timber and Robinson are as good as Konate this week. Maybe they're slightly weaker, but for an extra week of info, Konate, unless he gets a goal, is probably getting you 6 points, right? So it's not like a massive high upside transfer. Bench Iwobi, Semenyo, or Jacob Murphy? I think I'd bench Iwobi there. Start Semenyo and Jacob Murphy. Charlie has just become a Rep Tier 1 member. Thank you very much, Charlie. I appreciate that. AKU says, hey, Rossi, what do you think of going to Pickford to prepare for the double game week? I'm tempted, but they seem a bit worse defensively. Also, good luck this weekend. Thank you. I really don't mind Pickford. The thing is about Pickford, if they're worse defensively, he makes more saves. And they will still keep clean sheets. And what you want from your goalkeeper is lots of saves and the possibility for clean sheets. So I still think Pickford's a fine transfer in. He's maybe not as good as he was under Dyche, but he's still going to be a good asset. Skreza has become, or has been a member for 15 months. Thank you very much. There was no message attached, but I appreciate it. Wood to Gakpo. Yeah, we spoke about Wood to Gakpo a lot yesterday in the deadline decisions video. Basically, I think it's a really decent transfer. It's not one that I would say you absolutely should make. Like, if you've got Wood, you absolutely go to Gakpo. But it's equally one where I just don't understand people that like it's a bad move. I don't think it's a bad move at all. It's one of those where if you've got the free transfers, you want to attack the upside and you're willing to take the risk, go for it. What I will say is Wood has better minutes and is on penalties, which always makes it a very difficult sell. If Gakpo had pens, for example, I think I would probably urge you to do it, and I would probably do it myself. But Gakpo not being on corners, not being on free kicks, not being on penalties, not having perfect minutes, it's enough to make me think that Wood to Gakpo isn't a perfect transfer. But again, it's extremely close. Darren with the super chat. Thank you very much, Darren. Says, hi, Ross. Got Pickford, Trent, Gabriel, Hall. Bloody hell, what a backline that will be for this week and next week. Palmer, Salah, Mbeumo, Rodgers, Sarr. Great midfield. Wood, Isak, Wissa. It's fantastic. 2 free transfers, 2 in the bank. Is it worth Sarr to Diaz and benching Wissa or rolling? I would roll, and I think you probably bench Sarr. But yeah, I would roll this week. You've already got a benching headache, right? If you were going to do Sarr to Diaz and bench Wissa, it's probably between Sarr and Wissa for you for the benching. I'd probably bench Sarr. Yeah, I don't think I'd do that. And I mean, at the very least, by the way, anyone moving for Diaz, anyone moving for Gakpo, anyone moving for Darwin, maybe, just wait until the closer to the deadline. We've still got an hour and 15 minutes till the deadline. There is a very good chance that we get a little bit of a team leak for Liverpool. And obviously, if one of those 3 is benched, then you definitely don't go for them. VJ says, hey, Ross, please rate this team. Pickford, Trent, Gabriel, Robinson. Lovely team. Defense. Salah, Palmer, Rodgers, Gordon, Gakpo, Wood, Isak. Don't know, mate, like a 9, 9.2. It's a great team. You've got Pickford, you've got Trent, you've got Salah, you've got Gakpo. So you've got 4 doublers there. Really solid midfield 4. Got Wood and Isak. Yeah, it's like a 9. There's not many ways that I could improve that team, mate. Very, very solid. Cliver or Rodgers? I'd probably start Rodgers ahead of Cliver. Start Kirkes or Nico Williams? Oh, that one's really tough. That was really tough. Kirkes. I'd back the home team. I am finding... Do you know what? When I look at the fixtures this week, there are some really difficult fixtures to predict. Like, I think Bournemouth Forest... so difficult to predict. No idea which way that goes. I would say City Chelsea, very difficult game to predict. Palace Brentford, another difficult game to predict for me. I have no idea which way that goes. Fulham United, believe it or not, I still think that's a tricky game to predict. There are quite a few difficult games to predict this week. I mean, ones like Newcastle, Southampton, Liverpool, Ipswich feel like they should be very easy to predict. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not an easy week at all. And obviously we own assets from those teams and in those games. Like Crystal Palace versus Brentford. Like if you've got defenders from those two or from Forest and Bournemouth, I've honestly got no idea which way that goes. Rodgers, Rao, Milenkovic, start 2 and bench 1. Bench Milenkovic. Rodgers and Rao, you start the 2 attackers. Unless your defender's got a banging fixture like Lewis Hall or Trent, or if they've got loads of attacking threat, you just normally start your attackers. Jake says, got triple Liverpool, triple Palace, triple Newcastle. Do you start... You're going to need a free hit in 29, I think, is the first thing to note. Do you start Sarr or Rodgers as having to bench 2 Palace if starting Rodgers, Munoz and Sarr? I still think I would start Rodgers. I think I would ignore all of your benching decisions and I'd just start Rodgers ahead of Sarr. I don't think... By the way, Sarr versus Rodgers, I don't think there's a massive amount in it, but I think Rodgers' expected minutes are slightly higher. He's got a greater involvement, like his percentage involvement in Villa's goal was slightly higher, you would imagine, than Sarr. I would have Rodgers ahead of Sarr. Lee says 2.3 in the bank, 5 free transfers. Thinking of ditching Castagna or Sarr or Wissa. Any suggestions? I wouldn't ditch Wissa. Don't mind ditching Sarr or Castagna. I think I prefer to ditch Castagna to Sarr right now. But equally, if Sarr's minutes continue to be a little bit lower, if he's still not involved, I wouldn't mind selling a Sarr either. My only piece of advice there is I'd keep Wissa. In fact, I think Wissa's a good buy this week, if anything. So I think probably the ideal front 3 right now, for me, like if I was on a wild card, I would probably have Isak, Gakpo, Wissa. Maybe a cheeky shout out to Mateta as well, but I'd probably go Isak, Gakpo, Wissa. That would be like my front 3 that I would lock in. Rohan says 2 free transfers, Sanchez to Alisson, Bruno to Gordon. I wouldn't go Gordon. He's got a great fixture this week, but beyond that, he's very likely to blank in 29. The fixtures start to turn. I think, in fact, Gordon to Bruno in a couple of weeks will be a popular transfer, believe it or not. So I wouldn't go Gordon. I think if you're going to sell Bruno, the only player that I would sell Bruno for is Mbeumo. So that would be my advice. Also, got Gvardiol. Should I look to replace Gvardiol or Bruno? And please suggest a Gvardiol replacement. I would much prefer to sell Gvardiol than Bruno. And I think you probably go Konate. If you can't get Konate because you're doing Sanchez to Alisson, who would I go for? I'd probably go for a Bournemouth defender, as long as you can bench them next week. So I'd probably go Howson or Kirkes. RSD TV says, benching headache here. Who should I start out of Gabriel, Trent, Robinson, Munoz, Hall? Also start Pedro or Sarr. I would start Trent, Hall, and Gabriel and bench Robinson and Munoz. And I would start João Pedro ahead of Sarr. Hopefully that helps. JSY says, hope all is going well on your end. It is, thank you very much. I'm doing very well at the moment. I'm very busy, but I'm doing well. Any thoughts on Son? Just wouldn't do it. Just wouldn't do it. I mean, if you really want to attack the upside, by all means. But Spurs are so inconsistent. Son's minutes aren't even that consistent either. He's on penalties, though. It's a great fixture. If you really have a good feeling about it, I don't want to put you off. But if you are hesitant yourself, I'd probably leave it. I think in the long term, Bruno's a better asset than Son. I also think Estepinan's a very strange one. Unless you're seeing something that I'm not. I would prefer to have Bruno and Gabriel than Estepinan and Son, personally, myself. Hey, Ross, start 2 of Timber, Munoz, and Robinson. That's a very tough one. I think I would go Timber and Munoz, and I'd bench Robinson. But that's very, very close, mate. But yeah, Timber and Munoz for me. Start Ahmad or Sarr. I'd probably just about say Sarr. He's got the home fixture. He's playing against the weaker defence. I'd probably start Sarr ahead of Ahmad. Munoz, Mikalenko, Rogers, Ahmad, Rao. Is that worth a bench boost or play who? Probably not for me. I think Rogers would definitely be starting. Then probably Rao. And if you need to start one of the defenders, I'd start Munoz ahead of Mikalenko. If you can start all 3 attackers, just start Rogers, Ahmad, Rao. I don't think that's a bench boost, no. Would Munoz and Howson on my bench? Oh, would Munoz and Howson on my bench? Should I move Turner to bench boost? Would require 2 free transfers, which I have. Ooh. I was going to say yes, but then I'm thinking about that. I don't think a clean sheet is very likely for Munoz, and Wood is playing against Howson. So Wood and Howson both getting you returns seems quite likely. And I also don't envision Wood going that big this week. He might get you between 6 and 9. I probably wouldn't bench boost that, no. I probably wouldn't bench boost it. I think at some point you might want to replace Turner, by the way, but I don't think I'd bench boost that. Unless you really want to, of course. Scott says, hi, I have Sells, Gabriel, Trent, Hall, Semenyo, Palmer, Salah, Gordon, Wood, Isak, Gakpo. I am very jealous of Gakpo owners this week. Bench of Fabianski, Ahmad, O'Shea, Robinson. 1 free transfer, 1.1 in the bank. Any advice, please? My advice to you is keep the team and enjoy your green arrow. It looks like a very good team this week. There's nothing massive I think you can improve this week. You've already got your 3 Liverpool. You've got Lewis, Hall, Gordon, and Isak against Southampton. You've even got some bench cover in Ahmad and Robinson. No, mate, roll the transfer. Roll the transfer and enjoy your green arrow. I hope you get a green arrow anyway. Best of luck. But yeah, it's a nice team. By the way, if you're one of the 3,000 people watching right now and you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do subscribe. And also, we're only 200 likes off of 1,000. So if you could, at the same time, the buttons are next to each other. If you could hit the like button and hit the subscribe button, I'd appreciate it a lot. Soul Shot says, I've got Sells, Gabriel, Trent, Hall, Timber, Colwell. Okay. Ahmad, Salah, Palmer, Rogers, Sarr. Gakpo, Isak, João Pedro. 3 free transfers. 1.2 million in the bank. Thinking Timber to Mikalenko and then Sarr to Mbeumo. Yeah, I don't mind that. I like the idea of getting Mbeumo. I don't mind losing Sarr. I'm going to say a big yes to that. I do think at some point you might want to look at Colwell. Isn't the best player to hold, but he's also not awful. You've already got lots of good defenders. Yeah, do you know what? Timber to Mikalenko, Sarr to Mbeumo feels good to me. Bench Robinson for Williams and play Ahmad and Bruno. Yeah, maybe. And then maybe just back Man United to have a good game. I like that. I like putting all of your eggs in one basket, Connor. So I would probably do that, yeah. And considering that Robinson versus Williams is a pretty close call anyway, it's not like you're starting a really suboptimal defender, so yeah, I'd do it. Start Kluivert or Rodgers? I'd probably start Rodgers and bench Kluivert. Kluivert's on penalties, but Rodgers just has a much better fixture this week, and I just think he's a better asset. So I would start Rodgers ahead of Kluivert. Thoughts on Raya and Wood to Pickford and Gakpo? I've got the exact same decision, Callum. So I've got Sanchez, and my decision is Sanchez to Alisson or Sanchez and Wood to Pickford and Gakpo. I am just about leaning Sanchez to Alisson. But I think it's very close. I think it's almost a 50-50 decision. I would just trust your gut feeling. My gut feeling is that Alisson's a really good goalkeeper to have, and that I maybe don't want to overthink this one. Also, it is utilising an extra transfer to sell one of the best goal scorers in the Premier League this season in Chris Wood. So Aaron Smith has become a Wrap Tier 2 member. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that. Ahmad versus Enzo, please. It's not even a discussion. Ahmad. Start Palmer or Ahmad? Palmer. Start João Pedro or Rodgers? As per before, this is an extremely close one, but I would say like 1% more in favour of João Pedro. So I would start João Pedro. Lavia might be out until March. Yeah, I saw that. It's a real shame he can't stay fit. But yeah, Lavia is going to be out for a while, it seems. Robinson versus Aina. That's a 50-50. If you've got a Bournemouth attacker, start Robinson. If you've got a Man United attacker, start Aina. I think it's very close. Ahmad versus Sarr. To start this week, I prefer Sarr. To own, I probably prefer Ahmad moving forward. I feel like people are underestimating West Ham this week. Maybe. I still think it's a good fixture. Regardless if you think that West Ham will improve under Potter, it's still a good fixture for Rodgers at home. But yeah, I do agree that it's not like a banker fixture. Sanchez to Alisson for a -4. No, I just do it for free next week. Because let's say that Alisson keeps a clean sheet. Let's say Alisson gets 6 and let's say Sanchez gets 2. You have literally gained nothing by making that move. So you might as well just wait till next week. And that's best case scenario. If Alisson concedes, then all of a sudden you've lost points. I would very, very, very rarely take a hit to remove a goalkeeper. The only way I would take a hit to change a goalkeeper is if that goalkeeper's not going to play. Like if you're going to get like 0 from that. Haley, my sister, says Ola Aina and Bruno to Trent and Mbeumo. 2 free transfers. Aina and Bruno to Trent and Mbeumo. I'd much, much, much prefer Trent and Mbeumo. Obviously, selling Bruno is always a slight risk because he's on penalties, as we saw last week. Like, if you'd have sold Bruno last week, he played terribly, but he got a pen. But Mbeumo is also on pens. Trent and Mbeumo is such an upgrade. I'd probably do that for free. I'd probably do it for free and just hope that Bruno doesn't score another penalty. Thor, yes. Thor, this is the best part of the stream. The usual update on the Family Feud. Remember when you said, unless you do something mad like captaining Wood? No. Oh, I do remember saying that. Oh, no. Oh, I can't believe that worked out. That's so funny. Mate, you need to do something crazy like captaining Alexander Isak. That's my next tip to you. I'm not going to lie, that's crazy. Wow. I apologise for what I've done to your marriage. Oh, dear. I tell you what, FPL can cause some pretty big rifts in the family, you know? Listen, I've had my fair share of arguments with old Pickle over FPL. It can happen. It happens to the best of us, you know? It's a very intense game. Dean says, starting Munoz, VVD, Trent, Gabriel, Salah, Palmer, Gordon, Wissa, Mateta, Isak. Lovely team. Do I bench one and who to play Murphy or bench him? Oh, we've got Murphy. Oh, mate, that is a difficult one. I would bench Munoz to start Murphy. I'd go 3 at the back. Yeah, I would play Murphy over Munoz. Murphy's got the better fixture. He's the attacker. I think Munoz could concede. Yeah, I would start Murphy. Mbeumo versus Gordon. If it's to start this week, Gordon. If it's to buy, I would definitely buy Mbeumo ahead of Gordon. I think that's quite an easy one for me. Abdo says, sell one of Rao and João Pedro for Gakpo. I'm leaning Rao because he's more likely to get rotated in 27. Yeah, I would rather keep João Pedro than Rao. Yeah, I think if you're going to sell one, I'd sell Rao, Abdo. Rabic says, hi, Ross. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing well, thank you. Sanchez, Van Dijk, Robinson, Luka Dean, Aina, Salah, Palmer, Mbermo, Rogers, Gordon, Isak, Wood, Mateta. 2 free transfers. What are your thoughts? I don't know how much you've got in the bank, mate, but Sanchez to Pickford or Allison feels like a decent transfer for you there. I'd be very tempted to sell Sanchez. If you can't get to Pickford or Allison, I suppose you could downgrade Luka Dean to fund it. So Luka Dean down to a cheaper defender like Howson and then upgrade Sanchez. Or you could just roll the transfer. Honestly, I think rolling is fine with that team. The only weak position there is your goalkeeper. And listen, goalkeepers concede a lot of the time anyway. Would I be surprised if Raya and Allison both concede? Not necessarily, no. Bass Dumble Dam says, "Hi Ross, my current team." By the way, thank you for the very generous super chat. That's very kind of you. Henderson, Hall, Gabriel Robinson, Cole Mbermo, Gordon, Mo, Isak, Gakpo, Mateta. Dear Lord, that is an incredible team. I guess the only real miss there is no Trent, right? No Liverpool defence. Bench of Flecken, Rogers, Konsa. Really tempted with the bench boost. What do you think? So your bench is Flecken, Rogers, Konsa, Greaves. Would I bench boost that? I'd be very tempted. I would be, because you realistically are benching Rogers there. Flecken's got a decent enough fixture. I'd want to sell Greaves. If you can sell Greaves, because you've got a free transfer and money in the bank to a much better defender for this week. If you could get Greaves to Canate, that'd be unbelievable. But yeah, if you can upgrade Greaves, yes. If you're bench boosting with Greaves on your bench, I probably wouldn't. Because then you're basically just bench boosting with 3 players. So I think that then it feels like a bit of a waste. What's your plan, Ross? I would say 60% likely to do Sanchez to Allison. 30% likely to do Sanchez to Pickford, Wood to Gakpo. And then 10% likely to roll the transfer. So Sanchez to Allison is the most likely move for me right now. But I'm just going to wait. I definitely could foresee myself rolling, but then it just feels like I'm just accepting that my goalkeeper's going to flop this week. And if I'm going to probably buy Allison or Pickford anyway, why would I not do it this week when my current goalkeeper's got such a tough fixture? So I feel like it just makes sense with my team to make the move this week. Abdul says, Raya, Fabianski, Gabriel, Trent Hall, Munoz, Robinson, Enzo, Palmer, Eze, Mo, Gordon, João Pedro, Isak, Wood. Very nice team. Everyone's got banging teams at the moment. I mean, they are very similar, but there's a lot of good teams out there. Wood, Raya to Allison. Oh, sorry, 0.2 million value in Wood. Okay, Raya to Allison, roll. Who to bench, other ideas. Roll. Yeah, I'd probably roll the transfer with that team. In terms of who to bench, I'd bench Munoz, Robinson, Enzo. Yeah. I think you can roll with that team quite easily. There's nothing that like really screams out to me. I think if you're doing Raya to Allison, you don't need to do that this week. Raya has got a very good chance for a clean sheet himself. I think Ipswich can be decent in their attack. I don't think that's a desperate need to make the move this week. Bench one of Wood, Cliver, or Fernandez, leaning Bruno. I would bench Cliver from the 3, but I think after that it's probably Bruno. I'd say probably Wood, Bruno, Cliver. El Regano says, or Regano, anyway. Raya to Pickford, Bruno to Mbermo, João Pedro to Gakpo, -4. Would I take a -4 to sell Raya, Bruno, and João Pedro? I wouldn't do that. I would do that next week for free. Those same 3 transfers next week for free. I would do that. I wouldn't do it this week, though. I don't think there's enough upside. Mbermo's fixture isn't that great. Pickford's fixture isn't that great. João Pedro, I think, is fine for this week, as is Raya. I'm not sure that I would do that move, no. Do we have any news? There's no news right now, but do bear in mind that we've got 55 minutes until the deadline. Yeah, 55 minutes till the deadline. I reckon Liverpool team news, actually. We do often get a little bit earlier than others. So I reckon we could get Liverpool team news in, I don't know, I reckon half an hour, 25 minutes could be Liverpool team news. Normally we get it like right before the deadline if at all, but sometimes it comes a little bit early. So I'll keep an eye out and then I'll let you know. And obviously if you see any team news whilst you're scrolling through social media, because obviously I'm live streaming, just let me know in the chat, but make sure that you drop the source, because otherwise I'll just assume that you're trolling. Unless you drop a source, I'll assume it's a troll. Sorry for the tiny little bit of visual lag, by the way. Hopefully the sound is still coming through fine when there is a little bit of lag. It's just my computer. I do need a new computer, basically. At least the internet's sorted, largely. It's just the computer. Oh. As I say that, the stream. Oh. I was just saying that it's fine, and then my whole stream just gave up. Can you still hear me, chat? Did it leave for you there at any point? That was really strange. My whole stream just cut down. Camera's doing a madness. Do you know what? We might have to change to the egg in a second if the camera keeps doing a madness. Thanks, chat. I appreciate it. All good on our end. Lovely stuff. That's what we like to hear. I literally just lost my entire setup. It just crashed. Bass says, thanks for the great advice as always. Love the content. Almost top 100k. I hope this is the week that you manage it. Going to puzzle with the bench boost. Good luck this week. Good luck to you too. If you do bench boost, I hope it's massive. And if you don't, I hope your bench scores no more than 10 points and that you don't have too many points on the bench. Suleiman says, bench boost Fabianski, Sarr, Kirkes and Robinson. Oh, that's one of those that is so borderline. I'd be tempted. I don't like Fabianski's the one, but you never know. Do you know what? I'd be extremely tempted by that bench boost, yeah. Raya and João Pedro to Gakpo and Pickford. I mean, would I prefer Gakpo and Pickford? Yeah. But I'd prefer Raya to Pickford. João Pedro, I think, could do well. He's on penalty. I don't think I'd do that. I would do that next week. I would do that next week, I think. N. Shep says Timber and João Pedro for Gakpo and James. Reece James. I wouldn't be going near Reece James. He can't stay fit. I don't mind the idea of making a move. But again, it's a similar thing of like Timber's got Wolves. João Pedro's got a home fixture on penalties. These feel like transfers that are kind of forcing it a little bit. That is all I will say. Matuata says, stuck with my gut and gave Foden the captain. That is fantastic. I think I told you probably not to captain Foden last week. So if you did trust your gut feeling and you stopped listening to me, well done. 3 free transfers, 0.3 in the bank. Start João Pedro or Munoz, and thoughts on Foden, Sanchez to Alisson and Burmo or Gordon. I'd start João Pedro ahead of Munoz, and I would absolutely do Foden and Sanchez to Alisson and Burmo. I would go in Burmo ahead of Gordon. So yeah, I'd start João Pedro and I'd make those moves for sure. Sep to Hall and bench boost for Robinson, Rodgers, Munoz, Fab. Again, that's one of those that's so borderline. Because Rodgers is there and I like him this week, I'd be tempted. Then again, you've got Rodgers and Fabianski on the bench. Right? So you can't get points for both of them unless Fabianski makes loads of saves or saves a penalty. There is a slight risk, by the way, that Fabianski loses his place. So maybe if you're bench boosting with Fabianski, that's enough to put you off. I think he'll probably keep his place for a little bit longer. If he does lose it, it probably isn't this week. But there is enough doubt that a lot of West Ham fans have said that Fabianski's been quite poor recently. Obviously, Potter just coming in. Areola was injured. We don't know if Areola's been on, because he was on the bench in the last game. We don't know if Areola was on the bench because he was previously injured and he's coming back into the squad, or because Fabianski's still first choice. So that might be enough to put you off. Bench Semenyo, Rodgers, or Wood. I mean, that's a very tough one, but I think I'd have to say Semenyo. Start Rodgers and Wood. Mateta or Gakpo? Gakpo for me. Kanate can play the double week. Yeah, Kanate... So I actually misrepresented the quote because I trusted an account that got it wrong. But Kanate... Slot said in his press conference that Kanate is now approaching a point where he can play 3 games a week. He doesn't even need to do that, by the way. Because of the Plymouth game, because of the PSV game, he doesn't need to play 3 a week. He needs to play 2 a week maximum. So, if Kanate is now in a position where he can play 3 a week and he doesn't even need to, then he should be in a place where he starts every Premier League game. So I think Kanate is a really safe buy. The only concern that you have with Kanate is the chance of a reoccurrence of the injury. It's the same with Alisson, though. Alisson does his hamstring about 4 times a season. So Alisson isn't any more likely to stay fit than Kanate. I hope he doesn't, of course. What transfers are you making this week? Just jumped in the stream 2 minutes ago. For anyone that has joined the stream, please make sure to subscribe. I do appreciate it. But I'm probably doing Sanchez to Alisson. That's the plan at the moment. I have spoken about that I have the possibility of doing Sanchez to Pickford and Wood to Gakpo. So it would basically be Pickford and Gakpo, or I guess we could put it like that. It's Pickford and Gakpo, or Alisson and Wood. I mean, when you put it like that, I still think it's like a 50-50. What is the chance of getting early team news for Liverpool? I'd put it as 60% likelihood that we get something at least. I'd say it's quite likely. Liverpool team news does come out quite a lot. Whether we'll get the full squad or the full starting 11, I think that's not as likely. But yeah. Pickle's very quiet today. Pickle's not here with me. I don't even know if Pickle's watching the stream, to be honest. If Pickle is watching the stream, say hello. But yeah, Pickle's not with me. I'm actually going to Birmingham today to see Pickle because we're going to Villa Park on Sunday. Villa Park on Sunday to watch Villa versus West Ham. So I'll be in Birmingham this weekend. So straight after this stream, not straight after, a little bit after, I'm going to get the train to Birmingham. Start Iwobi or Semenyo? I'd probably start Semenyo. Start Rodgers or Pedro? Again, that's a 50-50, but I would start João Pedro for the Pens. Going to see the Rodgers Hall. Yeah, I just want to see it live with my eyes, the 17-pointer. Is the assistant manager chip money gone for good, or does it come back when the chip is finished? It will come back. So if you've got 1.5 in the bank, you buy Arna slot, keep them for 3 weeks. At the end of the 3 weeks, you'll just get 1.5 million put straight back into your bank again. Yeah, so you don't lose the money. That would be awful. If that was the case, I don't think anyone would even want to play the assistant manager chip, would they? That'd be awful. Hello, Sarr to Rodgers and then bench João Pedro or Wood. I would just keep Sarr. I wouldn't sell Sarr for Rodgers. By the way, though, then you could just bench Sarr. I would probably do that. I would keep Sarr, but bench him, and then I would start João Pedro and Wood. Hi, Ross. Team is Pickford, Trent, House and Porro, Salah, Palmer, Gordon, Semenyo, Eze, Isak, Wood. 5 free transfers, 0.4 in the bank. Porro to Canate. I don't think you can sell Porro this week. Next week, absolutely. You can't sell Porro before Leicester. I think if you've kept Porro all this time, I would probably start Porro and just hope that he gets you something. Like, no one even owns Porro. He's such a differential. Start Canate or Gvardiol. Got to be Canate there, I think. Jack says, hi, Ross. Team is Pickford. No. Oh, I did that one, didn't I? Sorry. Yeah. So, no, I wouldn't do it, Jack. But by the way, Jack, the fact that you've got 5 free transfers with that team is a joke. That does not look like a team that should have 5 free transfers. I mean, you just use it whatever you want. You could even burn it, which would be the ultimate play. Flecken to Alisson or João Pedro, Bruno, Flecken to Gakpo and Burmo, Pickford. Flecken to Alisson or João Pedro, Bruno, Flecken to Gakpo and Burmo, Pickford. I would probably go for the Flecken to Alisson move. But I also don't feel like you need to do that this week. Flecken's fixture is fine. I'm not saying that people are forcing it all the time, but there is a little bit of forcing Liverpool players in when I know they've got a great fixture to attack, but it's not worth selling assets that are fine to do it, I don't think. Sanchez, Van Dijk, Hall, Lewis, Salah, Palmer, Rodgers, Sarr, Mateta, Isak, Wood. Fantastic team, apart from Sanchez. Mikalenko, Iwobi, Kukurea on the bench, okay? 3 free transfers. Is it 3.3 in the million in the bank? Lewis to Trent and Roll. Thoughts? Yeah, you could do Lewis to Trent and Roll. The other option that you've got is Lewis to Trent and Sanchez to Alisson, if you want to go all in. Oh, no, you got Van Dijk, haven't you? Yeah, maybe just do Lewis to Trent then. You could do Sanchez to Pickford, although then I suppose you could just wait till next week. I would absolutely get Lewis to Trent done, though, Lucy, and I think that's nice and easy. Pickle's working, by the way. Just checking she was okay. Look at me being a fantastic boyfriend, even when streaming to 4,000 people. I'm just a wonderful boyfriend, chat. What can I say? What can I say? So are you getting rid of Wood? He going for Gakpo? No, I'm probably going to keep Wood, but I do have the option of doing Wood to Gakpo and Sanchez to Pickford. All right, I've not missed anything, have I? Right, where was I? Abu Bakar says, Egg of Wisdom rated my Wood captain shout last week and I went for it. Big thumbs up. I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't have done it, but I'm so glad that other people did. Verbruggen, Luca Dean, Gabriel Aina, Savino. Savino looks like he could be a decent shout for this week. Ahmad, Mbermo, Rogers, Salah, Haaland, Wood. My bench is Fabianski, Robinson, Pedro, Davis. 1.5 in the bank, 1 free transfer. Would you do Gabriel to Trent? So, I think it was actually my sister asked me this earlier. Would I do Gabriel to Trent? My immediate answer is I wouldn't want to sell Gabriel, but I would desperately want Trent. I think if your only route to Trent is selling Gabriel, I don't hate it. But then I think from 25 onwards, I would arguably prefer to have Gabriel back in the saving. So it's a very short-term move. I just wonder, is something like in your team, Luca Dean to Kanate, a better move? I don't know about Gabriel to Trent. I'm going to say hesitantly yes, because I would desperately want Trent, but I wonder if there is a better move in most teams where that's a possible option. Start Anderson or Milenkovic. Oh, that's actually a tough one. I'd still start Milenkovic, I think, there. Slightly more attacking threat, better defense. I'd start Milenkovic. George Marshall has become a Rap Tier 2 member. Thank you very much, George. Welcome. Shazam with the super chat. You're such a legend. Bit late, but I made it. Still stuck in hospital, but hey-ho, food not too bad. I hope you're okay, mate. We'll have a little chat off the after the stream, but I hope you're okay. Glad to see you still in the chat, though. I'm glad the food isn't bad as well. Hospital food can be a little bit subpar. Should I start Saar or Rogers? I'm finding this difficult because I don't own Saar, but I think if I did, I was trying to really imagine, Ross, let's imagine that rather than Enzo, you've got Saar. I think I'd start Rogers. So I will say just about I'd start Rogers over Saar. Thanks for the streams over the week. They entertained me loads. You're more than welcome. And thank you for the support as always, mate. Haaland/Semenyo to Salah Gakpo for free. I don't like selling Semenyo. I would sell one of your other midfielders. I wouldn't sell Semenyo. But in isolation, yeah, I'd prefer Salah and Gakpo to Haaland and Semenyo. Bench one of Luis Diaz, Mbermo, Rogers, Pedro. Unless Luis Diaz is leaked to be on the bench, which we won't know for a little bit, but let's keep an eye out. Let's say that Luis Diaz starts. I'd probably bench Rogers there from those options. Bramjot says, Alisson and Son in, not chipping in game week 24. What are your thoughts? I don't mind Son in. I also think it's a little bit nostalgic. Son recently and Spurs recently have been so bad. There's a little bit of nostalgia there that Son's a great pick. Alisson in feels fine. Listen, if you've got a feeling about Son, I don't hate it. But it depends who you're selling, right? Who are you selling to buy Heung-min Son? Start Raul Jimenez versus United or Ndiaye against Brighton. Definitely Raul Jimenez. Definitely Raul. He's on penalties. It's a better fixture. I'd start Raul Jimenez. Bruno Fernandes to Luis Diaz and Kirkes to Trent for a -4. Thanks. You're more than welcome. I wouldn't sell Bruno to Diaz. Kirkes to Trent feels fine. But even selling Kirkes, I think Kirkes is a good buy. I think Bruno's a fine buy. They don't feel like moves that inspire me that much. Kirkes to Trent is definitely an upgrade, though. But if you can't afford that without doing Bruno to Diaz, I'm not sure. Dashmate, by the way, had to change my Gmail name for work. Oh, I thought the way that you sent your message looked very similar to Dashmate. Okay, at least I now know, mate. Okay. I'll carry on calling you Dashmate then. It feels right. It feels right. JM says, hello, bud. Could you rate my team, please? Raya, Trent. By the way, thank you as always for the support, Jay. Raya, Trent, Gabriel, Howson, Gordon, Rogers, Salah Palmer, Mateta, Gakpo, Isak. Wow, what a team. Bench of Fabianski, Ahmad Robinson. What changes do you think I should make in the coming weeks? Well, firstly, I'd give that team like a 9. In my opinion, Gordon to Mbermo next week might be the one. I know Gordon's got a home fixture, I think, against Fulham, but Mbermo's just elite. So I think Gordon to Mbermo feels possible for your team. And also, you could look at something like Raya to Pickford or Raya to Alisson. No, you can't because you've got Gakpo. Maybe Raya to Pickford if you really want to attack. I don't think there's anything desperately. Ahmad, I'd be fine keeping, and Rogers I'd be fine keeping. I think the only thing I can see, Jay, is maybe Gordon to Mbermo for 24. But other than that, it's a great teammate. João Pedro to Gakpo or Roll. If you can do that for free in one move, I'd probably do it, yeah. I have to bench one of Wood, Eze, Semenyo, Palmer, or Mbermo. Probably Semenyo, mate. Probably Semenyo. In fact, it would be Semenyo for me. Hey, Ross, think you're going to bring in another Liverpool asset. Van Dijk, Gakpo, also any news? No news yet, KG, but we might get it in the next sort of 40 minutes or so. In terms of my move, it's very likely to be Alisson, yeah. I might go Wood to Gakpo, but I think it's going to be Sanchez to Alisson. Start Ahmad over Palmer. No, not for me. Definitely start Palmer. Do you think Gakpo will be a midfielder next season? Unless Gakpo starts a lot of games as a forward, in the next half of the season, then yes, Gakpo will have to be a midfielder. Because he's playing the same role as Salah, right? So unless they make Salah a forward, then they've got to make Gakpo a midfielder. Hi Ross, start Rodgers or Cliver? I would start Rodgers. Bench Sarr or Ahmad? I would bench Ahmad. Bench one of Wood, Semenyo and Rodgers. I'd bench Semenyo. I'd start Wood and Rodgers. Solanke to DCL, Wissa / Mateta. Already have 3 Liverpool. Oh, that's tough. I would go Wissa, then Mateta, then DCL. But most algorithms, models, bookies odds will always tell you to back the player with the extra fixture. I just don't trust DCL. But I would probably go Wissa if I was to sell Solanke this week. I should know, I would go Gakpo, but because you said you've got 3 Liverpool, Toby, I would go Wissa. Start one of Ahmad, Robinson, or Rodgers. I would start Rodgers from those 3. I would start Rodgers. Dave W says, love the channel, Ross. Thank you very much. I'm currently sitting 10k. Legend. What a rank that is. Who to bench? Rodgers, Wissa, or Wood? Also, Gabriel or Robinson. Close calls this week. I think Gabriel Robinson's not as close as you think it is. I think I'd definitely bench Robinson. Rodgers, Wissa, Wood is extremely close. What did I say on this one? Let me think back to what I said here. I'd Wissa just below Rodgers. I think I would have Wood first. Yeah, I would choose between Rodgers and Wissa. I've got Rodgers instead, because I was just going to say I'd start Wissa, but I guess I do think Rodgers has the slightly better fixture. Rodgers, Wissa's close. I think my thinking here was Rodgers has the home fixture and he's a midfielder. I'll let you decide on that one, but maybe just Rodgers. So maybe bench Wissa. Which 2 would you bench? Ahmad, Rao, Robinson, Hall. I would bench probably Ahmad and Robinson. I'd start Rao because he's on penalties, and I'd start Hall because he's got a banging fixture and he's on set pieces. Wissa is an XGI magnet. He is, to be fair. He will get chances in pretty much every game. Doniel Marlon, nah, just no. We need to see consecutive starts for these sort of players. It's the same with Marmoush as well. Who would you put first bench from Robinson and Ahmad? Probably Ahmad still. Probably Ahmad. Listen, Ahmad does things against good defences. He's shown it on a couple of occasions now. I'm not saying he's fixture-proof by any means, but what I am saying is he's not the sort of player that goes missing in the bigger games. Bench Munoz or Aina? I'd probably start Munoz ahead of Aina. Joseph Stack, good to see you, my friend. Says, morning, Ross. Hope you and Pickle are good. We are very good, thank you. I'm Isaac captain this week, who's trying to catch my wife in our mini league. Love that. I genuinely think there is not much to separate Salah and Isaac. I think there's just about enough for me to want to go Salah, but it's not. I'm not sat here saying like Isak's definitely a bad captaincy option. I think Southampton are a weaker defence than Ipswich, and Isak just mops up big chances, and Southampton give away big chances. If you've not heard the stat that I mentioned earlier this week, in Southampton's last 5 home games, they've conceded 38 big chances. 38 big chances in 5 home games. Wissa, in the Brentford game, had 6 big chance involvements. He had 5 big chances and created a big chance. Can you imagine if Wissa got 6 big chance involvements, how many Isak could get in that game? I think it's a great fixture. I really do. Anyway, bench Wood or Rodgers? I would bench Rodgers and start Wood, Joseph, but I think that is arguably the most difficult decision this week. When people say they can't hear engines outside, by the way, this is what it gets like. But you can see there's a poll at the moment in the chat between Wood and Rodgers. I think it's... The chat have perfectly summed it up. At the moment, 55% Wood, 45% Rodgers. I would say 55% Wood as well. As someone mentioned, 55% Wood is basically a semi. So the Wood jokes are non-stop, chat. They're just always there. You know? It's the best thing about owning Chris Wood. I would hate to sell Chris Wood because I'd miss the jokes. Alfie B says, Henderson, Hall, Timber, Gabriel, Castagna. Yep, very nice. Starting a back 4, less keen on. Palmer, Salah, Sarr, Haaland, Rao, Isak. Yeah, I don't know about starting Castagna. I have free transfers. Should I get rid of Haaland, Rao, and Sarr? If so, for who? Haaland to Gakpo. Rao to Mateta. And then Sarr to Mbermo. Or something like that. I also like... Alfie, why are you starting 4 at the back? Who is your other 2 midfielders? I think you need to use your 3 free transfers, yeah. I think you need to sell Haaland to Gakpo. and then redistribute the funds. I would want Trent as well. I would look at something like Haaland down to Gakpo, try and get Trent in and maybe improve your midfield. But yeah, that team looks a little bit imbalanced to me, and it's because of Haaland. So yeah, I would use all 3 free transfers to just spread the funds around a little bit more. Start one of Hall, Gabriel, Robinson. I would start Lewis Hall out of those 3. I think Hall is the second best defender this week after Trent. Alanga, Ahmad, and Aina Robinson. I would start Ahmad instead of Alanga, and I would start... Aina Robinson's very, very tough for me. I think that's 50-50. I guess if you're starting Ahmad, then I'd start Aina. If you're starting Alanga, then I'd start Robinson. Basically, I would pick whichever one you want from the attackers and then start the defender that doesn't play against that player. Put all of your eggs in one basket. Really go for it. Don't hedge your bets with that one, I don't think. Lewis for Gabriel or Van Dijk for a -4. If you're going this week, I think go Van Dijk. But I don't know that I'd take a -4 for a defender this week. Unless it was Trent. And even Trent, I'm not sure. Surely there's someone else you can start rather than Rico Lewis. But if not, I would go Van Dijk over Gabriel at the moment. Joe Roach has been a member for 17 months. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Start Jimenez or Rodgers. I think Raul Jimenez. Just because of the pens. And Man United are pretty stinky as well. Would you do Aina to Trent for free? Yeah, probably. Savio or Rodgers? That's a tough one. I'd probably go Rodgers just because he's guaranteed to start. Well, you'd imagine he is anyway. Does Luis Diaz have a minutes problem? He's not a minutes problem, but do I think Diaz definitely starts the next 4? No. I think he'll be benched in one of the next 4. Would be my prediction. Joe says, Luca Dean, cash Conser for the next 3 game weeks. I don't know that I'd bother going there. If you're going to, it's probably Conser just for security of starts. Because as you say, Maatsen could get a start ahead of Luca Dean. I just don't think that's worth the risk. The upside isn't that high. Like, he's very attacking, by the way, Luca Dean, but he's not... The upside isn't high enough to risk him not starting. Shashank, sorry I butchered your name there. I think that's how you pronounce it. Shashank says, hello, could you rate this starting 11? Pickford, Trent, Porro, Robinson. Okay, not bad. Salah, Palmer, Rodgers, Ahmad, Luis Diaz, Isaac Wood. My bench is Rico Lewis, DCL, Milenkovic. That's a very nice team, mate. Yeah, I have really no issues with that team at all. Give it like an 8.5 out of 10. I would be very tempted to start DCL over Ahmad, which might sound crazy, but I think DCL's got a slightly better fixture. It is away, but he's on penalties. I think I would go DCL ahead of Ahmad. That's the only thing I'd be tempted to do. I think there's also some justification to say Milenkovic over Robinson, but I would be very tempted by DCL, especially if you've got him already. I'm not necessarily saying you need to go out there and buy him, but if you've got him, I'd be tempted to start him. Ahmad or Munoz? I'd bench the attacker there. I'd go Ahmad. João Pedro or Ahmad? I'd start João Pedro ahead of Ahmad myself. Ahmad or Rodgers? Yeah, Ahmad or Rodgers seems to be quite a popular benching headache. I think I'd still go Rodgers over Ahmad. Home fixture, slightly better fixture overall. In terms of attacking threat, I don't think they're too dissimilar. Maybe Ahmad's got a little bit more, but yeah, I'd probably go Rodgers. Sarr or Rodgers to start? I would go Rodgers, mate, but if you're leaning towards Sarr, I don't think there's much in it. As you say, maybe just double up on the Palace attack and just back it. Just back the Palace attack, but I would probably go Rodgers. I mean, like I said, because I'm going to Villa Park on Sunday to watch the Villa game, maybe I'm even more keen on Rodgers. Like I would never bench a player when I watch him live. Imagine going to watch Villa play and then see Rodgers get a goal and he's on my bench. So, do we have any Liverpool team leaks at the moment? Nothing yet, but do bear in mind again, we've still got over half an hour until the deadline. In the next half an hour, I reckon we get something. I can just quickly chuck someone a message and see if they're going to get anything, but... Let me... Sorry, chat. I'm just going to message someone and see if they're going to get any early Liverpool team news. Cool. I've just sent someone a message. See if we can get something. There are a couple of accounts that do often post early team news. I'm just going to keep an eye on them as well. I'm going to get back to answering your questions in a second. Everyone just seems to be on the hunt for some Liverpool early team news, so I will see what I can do. In terms of Gakpo, by the way, I don't think you need to wait if you're looking to bring in Gakpo. Gakpo will come straight back into the starting 11. He got a complete rest in the Champions League. Keyboard warrior. Sorry, I'm just spamming my keyboard. Are you making a transfer this week? Yes, I am going to sell Sanchez for Alisson or Pickford. If I go Pickford, I'll buy Gakpo for Wood. If I go Alisson, I obviously won't buy Gakpo for Wood. I've not fully ruled out, by the way, buying Calvert-Lewin next week. If he has another game where he gets a load of big chances, bear in mind he's had 5 big chances in the last 2. If Calvert-Lewin goes and gets another couple of big chances this week, I'm not going to let prior opinions of Calvert-Lewin put me off. He's playing under a new manager now. If the evidence that if he gets like 8 big chances in 3 weeks, something like Wood to Calvert-Lewin is a possibility. That would also offer an opportunity to go and get Mbeumo a little bit easier for me. But yeah, I think right now Sanchez to Alisson feels the most likely. Is this a good bench boost week? I certainly don't think it's a bad bench boost week. I do think you probably will have better opportunities in the future. Will Fabianski start? I actually don't know the answer to that. That's one of the things putting me off buying Alisson. Because here's the thing, and I don't want to get too nerdy right now, because I know we've only got half an hour to the deadline. If Liverpool overturn the deficit against Spurs in the EFL Cup and they reach the final, then Liverpool will blank in game week 29. If Liverpool blank in 29 and I buy Alisson, I will need Fabianski to start. Fabianski's actually got a good fixture against Everton. So if Fabianski's still starting by game week 29, Alisson doesn't prove an issue at all because I start Fabianski. But if Fabianski's lost his place by then obviously that's an issue because I don't have a goalkeeper for the blank game week. So that is one of the things that is making me want to not bring in Alisson. But then, you know, there's so much that could change. Fabianski could lose his place and get it back. Alisson could get injured anyway and I have to sell him, you know? And it is only one extra transfer that it would require, so... Sorry, I'm just trying to see if I can get anything else. By the way, if you're one of the 4,000 watching right now and you're not yet subscribed, I'm very, very close to 145,000 subscribers, so please do consider it. I would appreciate it a lot. Right, let me get back to answering your questions. Start Robinson or Gabriel? Gabriel. Bench decision. Kirkes, Ahmad, Sarr, Robinson. Oh, I would go... When I look at that, what do I prefer? Ahmad, Kirkes, Sarr, Robinson. I think I prefer Sarr and Robinson. George, I'd go that way. Pickford, good cover instead of third Liverpool. Yeah, I really don't mind Pickford as a goalkeeper transfer in. I'm still considering it myself, actually. Jackson to Gakpo. Yep, I'd do it. Listen, I think that Jackson could get a little bit of joy against City, but Gakpo's just a better option. JK17 says Flecken, Trent, Howson, Gabriel, Salah, Palmer, Rogers, Sarr, Cunha, Isak, Wood. Great team. Bench right now is Robinson, Semenyo, Gvardiol. I want to capitalise on my team being in a good spot, but worried of ruining it. That's a great team. Goalkeeper's situation isn't perfect with Kelleher and Flecken. You're sort of blocking a third Liverpool player there. You could do Kelleher to Alisson if you've got the funds. Yeah, it's a really strong team. I don't think you desperately need to do much with it this week. But in terms of like Cunha's not got the best fixtures, Kelleher's blocking you a little bit. Other than that, maybe you could do Semenyo to Van Dijk or something like that. There's definite transfers you could make there, but it's a decent enough team, mate. And you've got a lot of good squad depth there, is the other good thing. Right, I'll end the poll because it's not changed at all the entire time. We had over 7,000 votes. 55% of you said you'd start Wood. 45% of you said you'd start Rodgers. So most people are just about leaning Wood over Rodgers. And I would also, because people are still asking the same question, I would still lean João Pedro over Rodgers as well. I would back the penalty takers. That being said, I am an absolute sucker for a penalty taker. I probably overvalue how important penalties are. But if you look back to my team last week, you know, I had a massive green arrow, 71 points. I got a penalty from Mateta and I got a penalty from Bruno. Outside of that, it could have been a blank for Bruno and it would have only been 8 or 9 points for Mateta. So that's a pretty big swing there. It's an extra 4 points or maybe 5 points because he gained more bonus. An extra 5 point for Mateta. And it was an extra 6 points for Bruno Fernandes. So I gained 11 points last week, which was the difference between 150k and about 220, 230k, just by owning penalty takers. So that's why I will always say start your penalty takers. Imagine having Bruno on the bench last week. He performed terribly, but he gets 8 points, you know? And I know you won't get that everywhere, but even like, and this is a very extreme example, Kluivert's hat-trick of penalties earlier in the season. So I'm not saying that I would always start penalty takers. Like, I would start Rodgers over Kluivert this week, but when it's close, you back the penalty taker, I think. That's my rant on penalty takers over. Is Rodgers okay after illness? I haven't seen anything which would suggest Rodgers is an issue. Wood or Gakpo, you're a legend. If it's a choice, I'd go Gakpo. If you're saying, would you definitely do Wood to Gakpo? I think that's up to you and your own risk appetite. But I would prefer Gakpo to Rodgers. Gakpo to Wood, absolutely. Start 2 of 3, Timber, Wood, Rodgers. I'd bench Timber there in that case. Right, now is about the time when I would expect us to start getting possible team news on Liverpool. So I'm going to be bouncing between the chat. I'll be bouncing between the chat and Twitter. And it might mean that I do stuff like that where I sort of zone out because I'm trying to find stuff. Right. I haven't seen anything yet, but I'm keeping my eye. Again, if you see anything in the chat, let me know, but make sure there's a source. Otherwise, we'll just assume that you're trolling. Unless you attach a source, I'm not going to believe you. Aren't you attacking this game week and the next one with triple Liverpool? Yes, I've just not made my transfer yet. If you've not watched my streams before, I always leave my transfers till the last second. Because why not? Just get a bit more extra information. I'm going to be sat here anyway before the deadline, so I might as well leave it. Would you bench boost Flecken, Ahmad, Robinson, Munoz? It's very close, but because you've got Munoz and Flecken in the same game, you want Munoz to get an attack in return. That means Flecken would blank. Ahmad and Robinson in the same game. There's a little bit of clash in there. So I'm going to say no. I probably wouldn't bench boost that. Salah starts, sauce ketchup. Fair play. Would you do João Pedro to Gakpo this week and bring in Pickford next week? Or would you do Alisson in this week and João Pedro to Wissa next week? I've got a bit of a similar decision myself, but I guess selling Wood rather than João Pedro. I think João Pedro to Gakpo is fine, but I equally think, again, you're selling a penalty taker on with expected minutes of 90 for Gakpo, who's got lower expected minutes than Nottingham Pens. I would probably do João Pedro to Gakpo, though, if you can do it for free. I think it's a fine move to make. Gakpo news reposted by Baker. Let me have a look. I'll see if it's a source that I know we can trust, and then I'll share it if it is. I don't know that account. Someone has tweeted that Gakpo starts, but I have I've never heard of the account. So I'm not going to share that with confirmation. To be honest, Gakpo's not the one we need info on. I think it's Diaz Darwin is where you really want the info. And also maybe Trent Canate confirmation. I don't trust a source that I've never heard of. What is Pickle doing this week? Pickle's rolling the transfer. She's not making a move. Diaz benched Anfield Red. Do you know what? Earlier today, I saw a leak that Diaz was benched, but it's not this account, is it? No. Anfield Red. What's the exact @? I can't see an account that's called that. Need Canate info. Yeah, I will try and get it. The issue is that the closer we get to the deadline, people just make up stuff, and then it makes it really tricky for me on the streams. So please do your best to just not, as much as you might find it funny. Just give me stuff if you know that it is got a source. Wood or Pedro, also Son worth a punt. I would prefer to start just about Chris Wood, but it's very close. Is Son worth a punt? It's up to your own risk appetite. He's got a great fixture, but Spurs are so inconsistent. Castagna or Colwill? I'd play Castagna. Hey Ross, Gabriel to Trent or Rico Lewis would bench otherwise to Van Dijk and keep Gabriel. Oh, I'd probably go Rico Lewis to Van Dijk and keep Gabriel, but that's very, very close. Odegaard to Mbeumo now or give him Wolves? I'd buy Mbeumo now. Dallo, Savinho, Sarr, who to bench, who to start? I would start Savinho and Sarr and bench Dallo. If you need to bench two of them, I would start Sarr as the best. Should I go with Nottingham Forest defence or Crystal Palace? If it's Munoz, I'd back Munoz. If it's any of the other Palace defenders, I'd back the other defence. By the way, just as a countdown and a deadline, you've got 20 minutes until the deadline. 20 minutes. And I will let you know if we get any... Yeah, so someone's just sent me... There is a leak going around that Isak has been unwell this week and that a late fitness test is needed. The account that has tweeted it has got some stuff spot on in the past, but also got stuff very wrong. And if someone's got stuff spot on and then really wrong, I'll be under the assumption that there's a bit of guesswork. I'm not saying that they don't have sources, but I'm just saying I don't fully ever trust an account that regularly gets stuff wrong. Because if you've got early team news, then you shouldn't get it wrong. There's no reason that it should ever be wrong. There's sometimes if there's a last minute change, but then you should only ever be wrong once. I think when someone's been wrong multiple times, it makes me want to not trust the not trust them, you know? I do apologize that my speech is going to be a bit more broken and I'm sort of just going silent and scrolling, but I'm trying to find information whilst also making sure that I get your questions answered. Cop HQ tweeted. Okay, that is an account I trust. Let's have a look. Did he? Oh, okay. Cop HQ said, as far as I'm aware, Gakpo starts. That's not overly helpful. I wouldn't then trust that. When he knows for sure, he says for sure. So, nothing overly reliable yet. Let me get back to answering your questions and I'll have a look. Cop HQ didn't say that Gakpo starts. He said, as far as I'm aware. So, it's very different. Raya agrees to Pickford Konate now or wait. Yeah, I'd go now. With 5 free transfers, I'd go now. Start Mbermo or Ahmad? Mbermo. Real bald men do Pickford Gakpo more fun. No, stop trying to tempt me. Tafan says, now up to 3.3k overall. Do I start in Burmo or Sar? I definitely start in Burmo at that rank. Mbermo's ownership is much higher than Sar's as well. So it's another reason. But also, Mbermo's on corners, Mbermo's on free kicks, Mbermo's on penalties. Sar is on none of those things. So I would always back Mbermo ahead of Sar. Liverpool 3 assets already. Onana to Sells, Henderson, Pickford. I would go Pickford. If you've already got 3 Liverpool and you can't get Alisson and you want a goalkeeper, I think Pickford's the one to own. 8 Nuri to Munoz or Gibbs White to Mbermo? Gibbs White to Mbermo for me. Look at Cop HQ's replies. I know, I just said his reply. He said, as far as I'm aware, Gakpo starts. He's just said Chiesa starts. Well, if that's true, then we are in for a world of pain. One sec, let me look at Cop HQ if that's true. Okay, that's not true. That must be Boona or something like that then. I'm looking at his account now. Nowhere, anywhere has he said that Chiesa starts. So if you've got someone saying Chiesa starts, then it's a false rumour. Probably Boona would be my guess. No, Chiesa doesn't start. This is the issue with people not looking at what source is actually tweeting it. There is the only news that we have right now, and I will emphasise that the only news that we have right now is a few decently reliable accounts to saying that Gakpo starts, which is what we expected anyway because he played 0 minutes in the Champions League. So there is nothing on the likes of Konate, Trent, Diaz, Darwin. I would imagine you would predict that the front 3 will be Diaz, Gakpo, Salah, but you never know. If they are going to bench Diaz in a game for Darwin, this isn't a bad one to do it, right? Ipswich at home. Are we doing Sanchez to Alisson now or what? I'm going to wait 5 more minutes, and then if we don't get anything, then I'll go. You just never know, right? Like, especially with Alisson's injury record. Let's say I got a leak that Kelleher starts or something, then I would kick myself for moving early. I'm not going to wait too long, though, because I don't want to risk, like, stuff crashing and whatnot. Are Diaz and Trent starting? No idea. If I have early team news, I'll share it with you. Would the Isak unwell news take you off him for captain? It might be. Tony's teasing his Patreon, so it might be something there. Yeah, maybe. I'm not going to sign up to someone's Patreon to get early team news. I'd rather just not have the early team news. It's a bit of a... I don't like that move. But I understand it. Like, he's trying to make money. Whatever. Start to have Wood, Ahmad, or Rogers trying to climb. If you're trying to climb, bench Wood and start Ahmad or Rogers. If you're asking for my opinion, I would start Wood and Rogers and bench Ahmad. Ben has become a Rap Tier 2 member. Thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate it. I don't think United will do that well, personally, against Fulham. So I'd be pretty happy benching Ahmad. João Pedro or Savinho? João Pedro. Martinelli leak. I've not got Martinelli or anything like that. Bruno to Diaz, Wood to Gakpo. Probably not for me, mate. You're selling 2 penalty takers and buying 2 non-penalty takers there. So I would probably just keep Bruno and Wood. Wood to Gakpo would be my preferred one of the bunch there. Start Ahmad or Wood? I'd start Wood. Yeah, Frosty just said 13% of people are captaining Isak. If the rumours of illness have any truth, make sure your vice captain is sorted. Yeah, just make sure your vice captain's on Salah. If you're captaining Isak, make sure you vice captain Salah. Start Kirkez or Robinson? Probably Kirkez. You've got just under 15 minutes till the deadline. The only news that we have right now is a couple of reliable accounts have tweeted that Gakpo starts. But again, that doesn't really feel like early team news because we already knew that would be the case because he didn't play any minutes in the Champions League. Bruno to Mbeumo and Jimenez to Gakpo. Want to keep Wood. Yeah, I don't mind that. Don't mind that too much. Ahmad or Sarr? I would go Sarr myself. If you're buying someone, I'd go Ahmad. If you're starting, I'd start Sarr ahead of Ahmad. Even if Diaz is benched, I think he scores off the bench. Yeah, but that's not a very good reason to go out and buy him. I mean, if you've got him and he's benched, you could still start him. But you certainly wouldn't go and buy a player that's on the bench. Have we got anything on Canate? No information on Liverpool outside of the fact that Gakpo apparently starts. I want to risk selling Wood for Marmoush. Got a feeling he'll score today. I don't like that. But if you've got a feeling about it, I would trust your feeling over my opinion. You're bringing in an asset that you don't know if he'll start. And even if he does start, he's playing against an okay defence in Chelsea. And you're selling Chris Wood, who's on penalties, for guaranteed minutes. Probably not for me. But again, I don't want to put people off too much. Right. I'll be making my move in a few mins if we don't get anything. I'm surprised we've not got anything concrete. Especially as it's Ipswich. It's not even like these accounts are wanting to keep the information because they don't want to give the opposition an advantage. You would have expected we get something by now. Robinson and Aina, who would you prefer to transfer to Trent? I'd probably rather sell... Oh, that one's really tough. Maybe because of GameWeek29, I'd maybe sell Robinson. I would sell Aina. I'll just leave it there. I'd sell Aina. I'd keep Robinson. Bench Pedro or Rogers? I'd bench Rogers. Start Robinson or Timber, Ahmad or Iwobi? I would start Timber and Ahmad. Bench Robinson or Munoz? I own Mbeumo and Wissa, thanks. I think if you own Mbeumo and Wissa, start Robinson and bench Munoz. Put all of your eggs in one basket. Bench 1, Palmer, Rogers, Mbeumo. Probably Rogers. I'd start Palmer and Mbeumo. 60 points off top in my mini league. Captain Salah or Isak? I'd still captain Salah, but if you really think you want to chase now and try and make up the points soon, then maybe go Isak. It's not a bad captaincy option. Hi, Ross. Would you do Gakpo in for Jackson or João Pedro? I'd rather sell Jackson and keep João Pedro. Start Robinson or Aina. As very, very close, but I'd probably lean Robinson ahead of Aina. Just for the home fixture. Also, Bournemouth are a better team than Manchester United, aren't they? As crazy as that feels to say, they just are. Right, just over 10 minutes till the deadline. I'm going to make my move at 23 past 1. I'm going to go in 4 minutes. I don't want to leave it much later than that, but I do just want to see over the next few minutes if we get anything. My current planned move is Sanchez to Alisson. I am still tempted by Sanchez to Pickford and Wood to Gakpo, but I'm just going to leave it, I think, and just hope that Gakpo doesn't go too big. Start Munoz, Kirkez, or Robinson. If you're starting one of those, I'd go Munoz, then Kirkez, then Robinson, probably. Trent and Mbermo in for Bruno and Gabriel. Would I sell Bruno and Gabriel? I don't love that, but I prefer Trent and Mbermo, Terry, so maybe. Maybe it's worth it. People are saying the site's down. I hope not. I'll end up rolling otherwise. Maybe that would be for the best anyway. Maybe I will leave it an extra 5 minutes. I don't think I'll get anything that will change my mind massively, but you never know. You never know. The only team news that we currently have, although it's still not 100% confirmed, is that Gakpo starts. Outside of that, there's been very little. Jonathan says, 1 free transfer, 5 points off top in my mini league. Which option is best? Foden to Diaz, Pedro to Gakpo, and Foden to Clive at -4, or roll and start Pedro and Foden? I think long-term, Pedro to Gakpo and Foden to Clive will see you best, but I don't know if that's that good this week. Foden to Diaz is fine, but I would only want to do that if we get a news that Diaz starts. I would say my favourite option there is Pedro to Gakpo, Foden to Clive, then roll, then Foden to Diaz. But if we get a leak that Diaz starts, then it makes me feel a bit better about that. Would you do Flecken to Alisson, same front three? For free, yes. For a hit, no. Hi, Ross. Pedro for Gakpo or wait? Best of luck and a big green arrow. You never walk alone. I hate when you put that, but I feel like I should read it out. Site is playing games. That is not good that the site is playing up. Pedro for Gakpo or wait? I would do it if it's for free. I'd get it done. Bench one of Diaz, Rodgers, Wood, and Mateta. Probably Rodgers from those options. Thor didn't mention is that what Thor didn't mention is that I scored more points than him last week, 63 versus his 56. So you two can stop bullying me. I would never bully you, and I'm glad that you scored more points. Thor's been a little bit overconfident, so I back it. I back it. I hope you have another good game week, though. I want it to go down to the final game week, the battle between the two of you. Foden or Rodgers? Probably Rodgers. Actually, if I had Foden, I wouldn't bench Foden. He's in a great run of form. I'd probably start Foden. Fabianski over Sanchez. Yeah, do you know what? If you've got the pair of them, you need to start one this week. I probably would start Fabianski over Sanchez. Why Alisson over Gakpo and Pickford? Pickford plays in 29. Yeah, well, Fabianski plays in 29 as long as he's still got his position, and Alisson will double in 33. And Liverpool are a better defence than Everton, so that's why. I expect Alisson to score more points. Nash United says, hi Ross, only one spot for Rao or Rodgers. Help Ross, great stream, nice work by you, thanks. No worries, I would start Rao ahead of Rodgers, personally. I would start Rao him, just because he's on penalties. And United aren't a very good team, are they? Why are we not getting any early team news? I don't know. I expected to get a lot of early team news. It's not even clickbait. Like, please stay on the stream. Like, we really do genuinely normally get early team news on Liverpool. Yeah, I really thought we would by now. Can't see anything. 6 minutes until the deadline, by the way. It's probably for the best. I have said that I would rather we don't get early team news, by the way. But Wood or Sarr? Probably Wood. Is this the final team? No, I think I'm going to do Sanchez to Alisson. Mateta or Wissa? I would just about say Wissa. Make your moves. Yeah, I'm going to do them in 2 minutes. 2 minutes and I'll make my moves. I'm trying to leave it as long as possible. Rodgers or Robinson? Definitely Rodgers. Salah might start. Yeah, it could be. Could be the case. I'll be very surprised if Gakpo and Salah doesn't start. That final spot will be Darwin or Diaz. But you'd imagine, based on the fact Darwin got 90, Diaz got 75, you'd imagine the front three is Diaz, Gakpo, Salah. I think Konate will start as well. In all honesty, I would be very, very, very surprised if we don't have the very obvious starting 11. I don't think there will be any massive surprises with Liverpool. So I would just make the decisions that you want to make based on what we expect. I would imagine Szoboszlai starts. I'd imagine Diaz and Gakpo starts. I'd imagine the back four is Robertson, Konate, Van Dijk, Trent. You'd imagine Alisson starts. You never know, but yeah. Apparently, odds on FPL said that Marmoush starts for Man City. Oh, apparently Marmoush does start for City today. I don't know if that's reliable, but if you wanted to make the punt, maybe. Maybe it's worth doing. Just because he starts doesn't necessarily mean I'd go out there and buy him, though, with the fixtures that City have got. But I know a lot of people are interested. Is it true that Isak is out? No, it's not true at all. Apparently, he's been ill, and there's a late fitness test. But also, only one person has tweeted that. Only one person, so take of that what you will. Right, I'm going to make the move. I'm going to make the move. I don't want to leave it too much later. Right, Sanchez to Alisson, I think I'm going to go for. I might end up regretting this. In fact, I could end up regretting this. I'm going to wait until it turns 26, then I'm going to hit make transfer. I'm going to hope that the site hasn't crashed. But that's the plan. I'm going to wait just one more minute. What if I have Pickford? Pickford's fine. Start Pickford. I've got no issue with Pickford as an option. What's the team news? We literally have nothing other than Gakpo starts and Salah starts, which is quite obvious, really. And even the Gakpo stuff hasn't been fully confirmed. But yeah, it sounds like Gakpo and Salah starts, which is what you'd expect. The next team news we're going to get is that Van Dijk starts. Basically, no one's given us anything useful. We haven't got any leaks elsewhere. How long are you going to wait? I'm going to do it now, I think. I swear to God, if I press this and I find out that he's not in the team or something, right, I'm just going to do it. Sanchez to Alisson, done. Right, there we go, chat. Nice and easy. There's the team. I've backed double defence over double attack. I'll probably regret it when Liverpool win like 7-2 against Ipswich. But there we go. Just screenshot my team so that I've got it. And then we are donezo for me. Done. Someone just put Alisson benched. Screw you guys. Screw you guys. I don't appreciate it. Right. Imagine if he is. I'd be very upset. We have the exact same team. Good luck to you, then. I did my transfer, Becker and Konate in. Best of luck. Start Palmer or Rodgers. Definitely Palmer. I would never bench Palmer. Alisson up front. That's what I like to hear. I don't know who to captain. My heart says Isak. My head says Salah. I think with the rumour that Isak could potentially be a doubt with illness, maybe it just lean me towards Salah. Does clean sheet only apply to starters? You have to play more than 60 minutes to get the clean sheet. You have to play more than 60 minutes. Apparently the site is lagging. A couple of people said the app is lagging as well. So I would absolutely make sure that you I would make sure that you get your transfers locked in. Alisson on pens confirmed. That's what I heard as well. That's what I heard. The only team news that we have right now is that Gakpo starts. And again, it's not even fully confirmed. So I would just probably make your moves. Doesn't sound like we're going to get anything massively reliable. I'm just scrolling now to see if I can see anything from the reliable accounts that we know of. Yeah, just Gakpo starts is the only thing. Spy on Cop. So one of the reliable accounts also... someone said, do you reckon Szoboszlai's nailed as the 10? And he replied, yes. And he usually has the team by now. So I reckon Szoboszlai probably does start as the 10 if you want to make that move. Would you do Savinio to Rodgers? I'd be tempted because I just think Rodgers is a better long-term hold. But this week, they could both do well. They could both do well this week. But yeah, I think Rodgers is a really nice option over the next 3. Do bear in mind that Rodgers does have a chance of blanking in Game Week 29. So that's the only thing. Start Kirkes or Castagna? Probably Kirkes. Do you think McAllister starts? Probably. Yeah, I think it'll be Gravenberch, McAllister, and Szoboszlai as the midfield 3, you'd imagine. You never know, but you'd imagine. I think it's probably fairly obvious, the lineup for Liverpool, unless we get some really big surprises. How many free transfers do you have now? I'm going to have 3 free transfers in Game Week 24. Are you going to free hit 29? I don't plan to at the moment. No, I don't plan to at the moment. Start Kirkes or Robinson? I think that's extremely close, but I might marginally back Kirkes. But that one's very, very, very close. Start Hall or Munoz. Definitely Hall. Oh my god, the app is lagging. Oh dear. Hopefully not too much lag to make the moves. Kirkes or Aina? I'd back the home fixture. Start Kirkes or Aina. I think I did want Kirkes back the home fixture. Start Konate or Saar. That's a very tough one, but I'll probably back Saar. Okay, that's the deadline. Dunzo. Done. Locked in. Time is up. Time is up. Lots of people trolling about Alisson. I hope they're trolls anyway. That is it. Done. Whoa, that was a crazy one. We will be sticking around, so don't leave the stream. Make sure, if you are going to leave, though, make sure you subscribe as you leave. I'd really appreciate that. But we are going to stick around until the lineups at the very least. Wow. Crazy. Crazy stuff. Good luck, Raptor. Good luck to you as well. Whew. People are such trolls in the chat, honestly. Honestly. Some juicy 3 PM games today. I know. I thought that as well. Right, let me get my team tweeted. Ah, my mum said, get well soon, Shazam. All right, let me tweet my team. Bang. Game week 23. Delap will score, probably. And he brought DCL in. I'm not surprised. He wanted to do that the whole time. Who's he brought in then, though? I thought he couldn't afford it. Didn't he say he can't afford Van Dijk and DCL? Did he just not make the Van Dijk move? I don't know. Misclicked and started Enzo over Palmer. I don't think that's the end of the world as long as Enzo doesn't start. But obviously if he does, then that could be. Right. I did Sanchez to... Alisson. We'll have 3 free transfers next week. Good luck, everyone. He sold Munoz rather than Anderson. Bloody yeah, he must have been desperate to get... Couldn't he have just done Gakpo? Kelleher starts, multiple sources, streams from Harry, Focal, Andy, all saying the same thing. Well, I hope not. I hope not. Otherwise, that would be sad. We'll see. You're probably just trolling. If you're not trolling, then yeah. Asim said Nunes starts. Yeah, Darwin starts. Okay, so Diaz is probably on the bench then. If you own Luis Diaz... What time did he tweet that? Did he tweet that at 11? Oh, sorry. So he tweeted at 1:31. He's a troll. I messaged him saying he needs to do it before the deadline, so... That will mean, yeah, Diaz is probably on the bench. What was I doing? What was I doing? That's what I was doing. Tweeting my team when I... 149k. Oh, no, it's not now. Is it 0.7? Right. What am I... Chat, I'm really struggling to multitask. Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's all of the silly people in the chat saying, like, random news, and it's just putting me off. Right, and then I'll post that on Blue Sky as well for all of the lovely people that decided to not do Twitter anymore. Pin to profile. Super chats mean nothing to Ross. What do you mean? Who have I missed? I've been tweeting my team. Give me a check. Give me a second. I think I answered most of them. Oh, there are a couple that... No, there's a couple that I missed. I'll get to those in a second. I'll tell you what, it's more difficult than you would think, streaming and replying and multitasking, you know? Not easy. I did an APP related to football and Premier League especially. I would like you to be a part of it. Please let me know the process. You didn't reply to my email. Send me another email then. I am really behind on replying to people about loads of stuff, but please send me another email and I'll try to get back to you. Start João Pedro or Wissa? That's too late for that. I think you sent that after the deadline anyway. Just spent £650 on hospitality tickets for me and the epilogue lady to see our beloved Seagulls against Fulham. I think she can cope with some friendly bullying. In that case, absolutely. That sounds wonderful, by the way. I hope you have a really nice experience there. That's pretty cool. Blue Sky is elite, to be honest, still not toxic. My issue with Blue Sky is like no one's over there. You know, we're not going to find out any of the early team news by being on Blue Sky. Like the general public aren't over on Blue Sky, which is probably why it's not toxic. But then at the same time, it means that it's just a bit dead. Like there's not much going on. It's just not very active. You do an excellent job. Who can be here answering questions of 4,000 people for 2+ hours? Yeah, it's not easy, but thank you, Claudette. I wish I sold Diaz last week. This guy's killing me. More likely to start both in the double, though? Potentially. Yeah, Darwin starts. Well, if Gakpo and Salah start, then it is going to be Diaz, isn't it? Unless they start all four, but I very highly doubt that. Why is everyone saying Alisson benched? Can everyone go away? Why is everyone saying Alisson benched? Stop doing this. It's putting me off. I feel like I can't relax post-stream. The post-stream part is supposed to be relaxing. I feel like I should just ban everyone that says Alisson benched. Do you know I have the... I could make this a dictatorship. You know? I could make this a dictatorship. If he actually is, then that would be an awful transfer. Fair play. It's one of those where I should have waited. Or I should have gone at Pickford and Gakpo. Why would he be benched? Makes no sense. He is very injury prone, to be fair. He wouldn't be benched. He'd be out of the squad, you'd imagine. I don't think he will be, but, you know. Just chill and wait 8 minutes for us. Exactly. Exactly. What if he was benched? Then I'd have Fabianski off the bench. If Fabianski was also benched, then I would be without a goalkeeper. So there we go. I also need a Wii as well. It's not ideal. Dude, what make is that jacket? It's Urban Outfitters. It's really nice as well because it's like cuffed at the bottom. I don't know if I'll be able to show you this one, so let me try. Can you see? It's like cuffed at the bottom, so it's quite like boxy. You know, like some fleecy sort of jackets are quite long. This is I can't get my whole body in it, but this is. The issue is because I'm 6'5". No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm only 6'3". Because I'm only 6'3", you know, I'm too tall. There you go. You can have a look at the cake as well. But yeah, anyway, it's a nice length too. I know. Urban Outfitters, my mic's all over. Urban Outfitters are getting so much free promotion. So much free promotion. Can someone from Urban Outfitters sponsor my bloody content? I would just talk about them all the time. More like 4'3". 5'11", I verified at the gym. I'd love to be 5'11". I'm actually 5'10". So, but we could go for 5'11". That works. That works. I would take that. Absolutely. I hardly ever buy clothes. I buy clothes a little bit too often, to be honest. But then, no, I don't. That's a lie. I probably buy it about okay. You already do it without being sponsored. Why would they pay you? This is true. How much did this cost? 65, 70, I think, with student discount. Because I think you get like 10 or 15% off. It might be more than that. I don't know. Maybe around £70. Oh, chat. You all do my absolute head in. You know that. You do my head in. We'll find out the team news in 5 minutes. What games have we got at 3 p.m? We've got Liverpool, Premier League. We've got Brighton, Everton, Liverpool, Ipswich, Wolves, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Forest, and Southampton, Newcastle. That is a tasty set of 3 p.ms. You weren't wrong. Whoever said we've got a lovely set of 3 p.ms, you were not wrong. Then we've got Crystal Palace, Brentford tomorrow at 2. Then Villa, West Ham, 4:30. Fulham United at 7. Cool, lots of good games on TV as well. City, Chelsea at 5:30. So we want to know the team news for mainly Liverpool. And then maybe a little bit of sank for Newcastle. Make sure Isak's in the squad and stuff. I'm not seeing any team news even now. Normally the Liverpool team gets posted like in full. Yeah, I can't see anything. 4 minutes. Tomorrow is a lot of nothing games for FPL. What? It's the complete opposite for me, Frosty. I've got Bruno, Munoz, Mateta, and Rodgers. And they're 4 of my biggest differentials. Ross, do you think Postecoglou is likely to get fired if he loses the next 2? I reckon he might be given the semi-final. I reckon he might be given the EFL Cup semi-final. And if he loses that, I reckon he'll get sacked. Can't believe Darwin gets another start. Crazy. Darwin is causing absolute chaos right now. Especially for all of the Luis Diaz owners. Saliba's with the squad. Saliba is with the squad. Whether he starts or not, I don't know, but Saliba is with the squad. You'd imagine if he's with the squad, Saliba might start. That'd be crazy. Good for Gabriel. Lewis Skelly is there as well. Got 3 minutes until the official lineups anyway. Yeah, Alexander Isak's at St. Mary's, so. Saliba on the bench, no cap. We'll see. But it'll be a bit surprising to take him and put him on the bench. I suppose I might get Ahmad if Diaz stays on the bench. He's not staying on the bench. You might get a goal off the bench, though, for Diaz. Imagine against a tired Ipswich. And he went with DCL. Yeah, I saw. It might pay off. I might end up buying DCL next week. You never know. Bruno to Mbeumo next week. It's a possibility. I have considered that for sure. I've also considered, believe it or not, selling Mateta to DCL and buying Mbeumo for Enzo. Don't know how to feel about that one, though. Will Marmoush play as the 10 or a wing? But it could be both. He can play both. He can also play as the forward as well. They might play like not a 2 up top as such, but have Marmoush right up there alongside Haaland. You never know what Pep's got planned. Review told me to get DCL also. I run my team through it occasionally to see what it said. It told me to sell Mateta for DCL this week. That's what it told me to do. So if DCL outscores Mateta, then they were right. Bruno benched, apparently. Bruno doesn't play until 7 p.m. tomorrow, so I'm not sure how you'd find that out. Chris Wood brace feels inevitable. I would be surprised if he gets more than 1, but you never know. We also said that when they played against Everton, he got a goal and an assist, I think, didn't he? Or did he get a brace? I can't remember. I would love a Chris Wood brace. Right, 1 minute. Let's go over to Twitter. Let's get over to Twitter. The first thing we want to see is Liverpool. And then, where's my Twitter gone? Hello? Is it that? There you go. Done. The first one I see is Liverpool, and then after that, maybe Newcastle. Let me know which teams you want to basically have us looking for. But we have got a minute, which is good because I need a wee. You know? If I had to wait much longer, I'd have to go and do it. Ugh. I would like to get another green arrow. I'm not feeling overly confident with my team, though. Maybe it's just a bit of pessimism, but I just don't love the look of my team this week. I'm also very jealous of people that have Gakpo. I feel like it's a great fixture for him. Cool. The team is as follows. Yeah. Wait, Luis Diaz. Oh, it is all four of them. No, Darwin's on the bench. Wait, Darwin's on the bench. Wait, what? Darwin on the bench? What on earth? That's very strange. What on earth is that about? You should have just bought Gakpo. No, I don't want to buy Gakpo. I wanted Alisson. You've been fooled. Must have been Boonard. It wasn't Booner though. These are Liverpool accounts that always tweet reliable stuff. Very interesting. Imagine if people sold Diaz because of that. I'm sorry for sharing that, but it was like multiple accounts. Does Isak start? Oh, sorry. Yeah, we need to get through the rest. Very strange. I'll try and work that out. Yeah, Isak starts, Hall starts, Gordon starts. Nick Pope back on the bench. So if you've got Dubravka, not for much longer. Let's check the Everton team. Yeah, as you would expect, all of the major assets start there. What about Brighton? João Pedro and Welbeck both start. Again, no massive surprises that I can see from a first glance. Who else did we have? We had... Oh, Bournemouth and Forest, didn't we? Bournemouth. Howson starts. Tavernier back on the bench. Got Kirkes in there. Kluivert, Semenyo, Ouattara. And then just make sure that Wood is in the 11. Chris Wood starts. Love to see it. So I don't think there's any major surprises there, really. Every lineup's as... Oh, Arsenal. Arsenal. I knew I forgot a major team. Saliba starts, we imagine, if he's with the squad. Yes, he is. Raya, Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, Lewis Skelly. I'm glad I didn't bench Gabriel then. It's basically their strongest 11 at the moment, isn't it? Wanyeri back in the 11 as well. That's big. Wait, where's Odegaard? Where's Odegaard? Did we know Odegaard was going to miss out? Odegaard's not there. Oh, Estepinian as well. Apparently, yeah, Estepinian's not in the squad. Sorry. I didn't even think people still had Estepinian, but... yeah, that's interesting. No Odegaard. He's not on the bench either, is he? Sorry, let me check if Estepinian was in the squad. I can't believe how many people own Estepinian, but... Yeah, Estepinian's not in the squad at all, so you'll get someone off the bench. Okay, interesting. Wanyeri is... Odegaard rested, I'm not injured. I don't think he'd be rested, because he'd be on the bench, surely, if he was being rested. Apparently he's ill. Oh, okay, he's ill. Why are Arsenal players ill so often? It's crazy. Maybe he is just getting a complete rest, I don't know. Very interesting. Okay, then. Well, at least Alisson starts. I was stressed about that after everyone being bloody numpties in the chat. But that's the team. We need a clean sheet from Liverpool, which I'm not overly hopeful of. We need Jean-Philippe Mateta to go crazy again. And we need Rodgers to turn up. And I'm excited for Villa Park. I'm going to see Rodgers score a goal live. I can feel it in my bones. And then Robinson as first sub's not too bad as a bit of bench cover as well. Cool. Right, chat. Because I'm going to Birmingham this weekend to see FPL Pickle, I need to get a train in not too long. I need to eat some food. need a wee as well, I'm going to have to love you and leave you. But it's been a wonderful stream. Thank you for joining me. If you are not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Doesn't take long. Hit that subscribe button. There is a super chat I'll quickly answer. Thoughts on my team. Defense is Munoz, Hall, Aina. Love that. Midfield, Gordon, Bruno, Son. Son's great. Salah, Palmer. Attack, Isaac Wood. It's like a 9 out of 10. Big love. Great team. Thank you for the super chat. I love you all very much.